capture another room at some point. Don't forget, chime into the DNC, 6 p.m. Central, and then we can debate about it later.
Half Swedish and the other half, I don't know, I think like chips, yes. Okay, so
Are you really changing your PTR when you're in the shower, man?
Yeah. But I'm in the bathtub. Oh my god, Patrick, get the fuck out of this room. I know you're recording.
Why do you always have these weird people in your fucking rooms recording? I don't want this shit.
I don't know, is it hate speech? Is questioning anything hate speech now?
It's all anti-Semitism.
So you can say that aliens own all 7-Elevens, and that's fine. But if I say, but if I say Jews own all the banks, that's anti-Semitism.
Yeah, they're both true. They're both true. Jewish truth is real truth. That's what happens when you own the media. My feeling on this is like, just own the media also. Why are you letting the Jews do it? You know what I mean? You can buy a newspaper or whatever. Elon is not Jewish, and he owns a very large social media platform.
Yeah, but you have to become rich first, and that's fucking hard.
It's really not that hard. You know? It's hard if you're stupid. I mean, it's impossible if you're stupid, you know? Or like near impossible. But if you have even moderate intelligence, you know the principles of building wealth are pretty fucking easy, right? Like, I'm sure like sometimes like in this room, we talk about it as if like, yeah, it's really hard and this and that. But the truth is, it's not. It's like, hey, what is it?
It's not hard to get average rich, you know?
To be a billionaire is a bit of luck, but to be worth like 25, 30 million, anybody with half a brain can do that. They just don't think they don't believe they can, they don't think they can. So they don't. Self-defeating. But anyway, back to my point is like, I don't think the Jews are the Matrix. I think the Matrix is just
Netanyahu, though?
I don't think much of him, to be honest. I don't think about the Jews very often. I don't care about them, one way or the other.
How dare you don't care? Do you want to die again?
I don't care what happens to Jewish people, pro or con.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
I'm not Jewish.
As far as I know, that you're supposed to care. You're supposed to care.
No, you can't care. I don't care except myself and my family. I don't care about other white people. You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about other white people.
Where's Andrew to tell him off? I got to tell him off for a second.
Well, Andrew doesn't believe in isolationism and protectionism, but really it's much more about Ukraine than it is about Israel. That should be obvious to everybody. Yeah.
Apparently, Ukraine just banned the Christian church.
They banned the Christian church in Ukraine.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Probably the Russian Orthodox Church. It's just
Think you believe is that Christian?
I saw that thing where like the Russians, are like providing asylum for people who hate wokeness or whatever, and it's like, bro, if you're dumb enough to fucking go to Russia because you believe it's not woke, and like true, it's not woke, but if you think your life is gonna be better in Russia, I'd rather live amongst the blue hairs, like life is way better over here in America.
How do you know?
I have this thing called a smartphone.
You mean the propaganda machine that they feed you American propaganda?
It's easy to see what life is like in Russia, like daily life. Same with, do you know what a street tour video is?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those on YouTube? Yeah. I just put those on all the time and like sort of watch what it's like in wherever, Kiev or fucking Tehran or Tokyo. And it's interesting because like you don't have to actually go there. It's like you're getting like an actual tourist place. I don't think most people do that, but
if you just go to Google Street View, you can see how shitty most places are.
I'm gonna do that for Gaza right now. See if it's actually.
even when I went to the UK, I was like, man, this place is a shithole. Way worse than I thought.
I don't know. I think a lot of countries are pretty cool when you do that.
Europe is still something places, Yeah, but I was in London for a little bit. Not a long time.
For hours.
Yeah, I was in London for like 2-3 hours. It was, what I'm saying is,
This one is you're probably in the hippie fucking part of London as well. Not that it isn't a shithole, by the way. You're just probably in the wrong.
I was down by London Bridge is where I was. I don't know what town that is. Yeah. And you know what though? I do have to say the one thing England has going for it, the underground, super nice. Or at least the one I was,
We complain about that shit all day.
the one I was on was, maybe I was on one of the new ones or something, but it was so nice. It was fucking fancy as shit. It had like the digital time up for everything, and they all arrived when they said they were going to. It's way better than like New York subway system. New York subway system is atrocious garbage. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I just don't care about the Jews. Like, I think it's weird to care too much about any racial group.
Jeff, I don't care how you feel about that, Jeff, because Jeff was getting at it earlier about Dan Bilzerian.
What did he say? Just doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about Dan Bilzerian. I think he's an idiot.
No, what do you think about all those things that he doesn't care about the Jews?
I mean, why would I care? I don't care about the Jews. Why do I care what Hubble thinks about Jews?
Why do you care what Dan Bilzerian cares about the Jews?
Because you came in here asking us what we think about Dan Bilzerian. I didn't bring up Dan Bilzerian.
Okay, relax.
Trying to spell bot with British words.
Although, do you think that there is a probability that Benjamin Netanyahu and his government created Hamas so that they could orchestrate taking them?
No, I don't think so. Or, I mean, maybe there's a possibility, but I think it's probably pretty low possibility. I don't think you need to. Here's why I think. Yeah, because you don't need to create Hamas because they all hate them. Every single person over there hates their guts. If you just leave them alone long enough, they're going to form a government that wants to genocide.
No, but I mean, like, support it in some kind of way. Like, the United States has done with every terrorist organization since beginning of the United States. Like,
I don't know because I haven't looked that much into it because again I just don't care about Israel. Listen, I'm just gonna say this explicitly so you know what the average American thinks it feels. Because this is how most of us think and feel. I don't care if Israel exists or doesn't exist. I don't care at all. It means nothing to me. It's the same way I feel about the Congo. I don't give a fuck if the Congo exists or doesn't exist. I don't give a fuck if Rhodesia existed or didn't exist. I don't give a fuck what happens in Myanmar. I don't care. That's where I'm at. And most Americans agree with me. We just simply don't give a single fuck.
I don't think that's true. I think most Americans care a lot more
They don't.
than
They don't.
they do about Congo.
They just know that they're supposed to have an opinion. That's what they know. But deep in their heart, no one cares. No one talks to each other about Israel in passing conversation, like when you're at dinner, when you're in private. No one cares. What does it matter to the average American's life? It means nothing.
I don't think a lot of Americans, well, not a lot, but I don't think all Americans feel like that. Maybe a lot might do.
I would say 90% of Americans feel the way I just described.
Do you think it's fair that American senators and people of, civil duty should have or should not have a dual citizenship with another nation that has a very strong lobbying arm in the U.S.?
I think that they should have to disclose it.
Well, they disclose it, but then nothing happens. Right?
No, they don't always disclose it.
Oh, interesting. I thought they had to disclose dual citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like any elected officials having dual citizenship. I don't like that shit. Yeah, I don't think you should be able to be an elected official with dual citizenship. That's my personal view. I think minimum they should have to disclose it.
I think Thomas Nazi's trying to get a bill passed.
Yeah, it's a good bill because you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of America and then be claiming to represent constituents in America. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
I completely agree with that. I don't think in the UK, I don't think anyone who is elected official should have dual citizenship. Simple as that.
Yeah. You need to be all the way bought in on America, you know?
So that would probably erase like 2/3 of your government if we decided to implement that.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be great. I would love to get rid of 2/3 of the government.
Do you think they would stay in America or they would go to Israel?
I think everybody, because America is the best quality of life and standard of living at the moment. That could change, but right now it's in terms of large countries, it's the best quality of life for a large country on Earth, and there is no other large country that competes with it. You can have good qualities of life in other places. You can have a good quality of life in Europe. You can have a good quality of life in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia. It just depends, right? But like for the most amount of people from the most amount of places, America gives the most amount of quality of life. And so that's why America is plan A for everybody. But certain people have more of a plan B than others.
America 2.0s are definitely coming up in the world.
They are, but you know, our
America 1.0 keeps sinking and stabbing itself in the fucking dick.
yeah, we have like there's something weird about the Western world in which we feel like we're like I don't know, we've been psyoped into believing we're all evil or something. Dude, listen, the way I feel is that we're the best people that have ever lived. No one is nearly as magnanimous as us, and everyone else is inferior. That's the way I truly feel. You know, America versus everyone else.
Palestinians feel as well.
Yeah, but they're all actually retarded. You know, that's the difference. Like, they all fuck their cousins, and then they have 75 IQ. So to feel that way is preposterous. When it's true for America. America did the Panama Canal. It did the Hoover Dam. It did the fucking space shuttle. It did the moon landing. It has the reserve currency. It has the largest military. It has the biggest nuclear stockpile. It created the internet. It created the car. It created the semiconductor. It created the telephone. It created the airplane. It created all the conveniences of modern life came from America.
Well, I think half of the things you mentioned were actually British. But anyway, I think if
That's not true.
definitely Canadian.
Not true.
if the Palestinians were
Alexander Graham Bell grew up in my town.
I'm pretty sure the
No.
Palestinians would.
That's North America, Dave.
That you just mentioned.
The Palestinians what?
If the Palestinians weren't held down by bombs and America and Israel, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to create everything that you just.
They're too stupid. They have low IQs. You know, they can't do it. There's something special about white people and white culture and Western society, Western democracy. You know, everybody should contend with that. Like, there's a reason that white people built all these things and other people didn't. You know, and there's a reason people want to live in white majority countries and they don't want to live in other places. You know. And so I think white people should just stop listening to all this bullshit from communists about how we're inferior and whatever. We are the only majority country on earth that's tolerant of other people. That's an important and moral characteristic of who we are. And at the same time, you know, we innovate like nobody's business. We create structures around us. And when we, like, listen, yeah, sometimes we go too far and we murder everybody, but like, that's everybody. That's just everybody. You know?
When you say you innovate, is the state of Israel an innovation of America? Like to keep the destabilization far away from American borders?
I mean, it's obvious that the state of Israel was a co-creation of Britain and America. And
Well,
it served,
it was our creation, and then we handed it
Yeah.
off to you guys.
well, it was your creation that we supported, and then we took over from you. Like we took over many.
Because when we were doing it, we had to fight both sides. That's what people don't realize. We had the Jews on one side and the Palestinians on the other side. We're fighting everyone just to keep the place there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Israel is an important thing for the American government, but it's not an important thing to the American people. You know. Again, it doesn't matter. No one gives a fuck about Israelis. No one cares. Most Americans don't know an Israeli. They don't care about Israelis. They don't care about Palestinians. people, dude, 20 years ago after 9/11 happened, people in America were saying, destroy the entire region and send it all, like nuke it and turn it all into glass. That's how the average American thinks and feels. I mean, they don't give a fuck about people who are halfway across the world. It's just not part of the American character to give a shit. America is fundamentally isolation.
Can't wait to move to America.
You'll figure it in.
I know. America just needs to bring a little bit of elitism back.
We do. And we also need to stop letting people who are losers dictate to us what winners can and cannot do. We do whatever the fuck we want. That's what winners do.
If you gotta pick the state that British had to move to, where are you sending them?
Texas.
British would do best in a
Texas.
I'm not asking where you would do best. I'm asking where you would send them.
Where would I send British? Let me think. I'm not going to send him any place cold, so he's not going to the Mountain West. I'm not sending him to New England because even though it is snooty,
Because I'm from Old England.
it's British just wouldn't get along with the people in you just wouldn't like New Englanders. You're not a New England person. The Midwest is too cold and also too desolate for British. So it's really, Texas, Los Angeles, or Miami are the three places for British.
If I was a dictator, I would send them to Juneau for a...
If I had to send you someplace, Dave, I'd send you to Wyoming. I think you'd like Wyoming. But yeah, man, Western society needs to pull its head out of its ass. This isn't just true of America. It's true of England. It's true of France. It's true of Germany. It's true of all of Europe, Australia, America. Everybody needs to realize that we're the fucking best, and we're not going to be giving it up to the Chinese, no matter how hard we were psyoped into believing we're all evil people or whatever the fuck. No, we don't care. We're the best. We're going to continue to lead and rule for the next 100 years. If you don't like it, suck dick.
I think that's true, but it won't happen while there's a democracy. We've got 2 generations of retards now, at this point.
Yeah. I think conservatives across the Western world need to take media more seriously. That's been something they thought was beneath them, because conservatives always just go into finance, and they always consider media to be beneath them. And media is beneath econ as far as power goes. The media is not as important as money. That's true. But at the same time, if you don't take an active interest in the media, you end up with significant cultural decline because your enemies will take an active interest in the media and they will brainwash the population.
Well, up till now, conservatives thought that people will literally just vote in their self-interest. And they've never faced a reality where these morons are literally voting against their own self-interest.
Yeah, also, America is much less white than it used to be, and so we're now facing the reality of racial-based politics. And it's time for conservatives to get smart about that and to not wish it away. Because most people who are in a racial group are just going to vote for that whatever they think is in that racial group's best interest, because all the studies show that most racial groups are much more racist against outgroups than white people are. White people are the least racist against outgroups on Earth, and it's like slowly leading to their destruction. So it's time to like undo that.
Boosh.
You won't do it in a democracy. You got to go back to it. You send people back to, you know.
Well, it's time for I'm in favor of mass deportation for immigrants. You know, like I'm
Yeah, but
sick of
here's the
it.
thing, Hollow, though. Like, on a real note, you send them back, right? And then it's going to be your problem again. Now, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of investing in a way where we send you back, and now we own a piece of your country for supporting building it.
Well, that's what we do. I mean, that's what that's what we did with Europe. You know,
That's what you should be doing.
yeah,
That's what you
that's
should
what we did with Europe post World War II. Like the Marshall Plan was,
Yeah. You don't do that. You don't do that anymore, though.
and we need to though. Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree.
It's
Like Trump was saying, how do we just we don't even take the fucking oil? We've blown up this country for 20 years, and now we don't even take the fucking oil. How retarded are we? I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. You are retarded.
yeah.
I think you got to also incentivize American companies for actually supporting America. I think they've got too many incentives to support other things that are not America, and that's also an issue too.
There's a million issues going wrong. I mean, the real thing, I don't know, it's like there's something wrong with the hearts and minds of everyone in the world. Like, how do you fix that? You know,
I
like
can't
people
believe
want to.
they're voting literally against their own self-interest. That's the part that winds me up the most.
People want to be like, we should go back to religion and this and that, and it's like,
It ain't gonna work.
well, religion failed for a reason, which is, you know, it's a repressive system. I mean, belief in God is not repressive, but like adherence to religious precepts is repressive, and people don't like it. And they don't have to do it anymore because there's no cultural enforcement. So, you know, people probably have hated religion for hundreds of years, but suddenly the cultural enforcement slipped, and then everybody was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to church. Stupid. And you can't just, you know, there's nothing to replace it. Yeah, that's the problem. It's like
there is, though. There is. It's called the laws, right? But you don't enforce the fucking laws, and then you got the secondary issues.
Well, that's the problem. It's a problem too. You don't want people worshiping the state, right? Because then you have communists running things. Yeah, you have China. And so we need something that's separate from the state, some sort of dominant Western ideology. And I think it's something to do with technology and innovation and like fucking Ad Astra, like to the stars, like colonizing space. You know, like we need to get on board with like a bigger vision, a bigger plan, something that we can get behind, because like we need to build cathedrals again, because like, you know, in Europe they were building cathedrals for hundreds of years. They were multi-generational projects, etc. And that really was, you know, they had this through line of like Christendom where they all believed in Christianity, and you know, it propelled them to the greatest heights anyone had ever seen thus far in the world. Like Europe really set the tone for the world for 1,000 years, and now we don't have anything. We're like, America was like a new plan, but it lasted about 300 years and then fell apart on itself. And now we need another new plan. And you know, Bitcoin is part of it, but it's not the whole thing. Bitcoin is the capital of the new world, but we don't know what the like governance structure of the new world is yet. And we need that. We need the governance structure, we need the ideology. And you can see that these things are like struggling to be born, but they haven't been born yet, you know? And I don't know how long it's going to take.
I don't know that I agree that Christianity is that repressive.
It failed.
Whether it's repressive or not, it failed.
Nobody's going back to Christianity.
It's over.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
It means the entire Western world used to be Christian. Yeah, the entire Western world used to be Christian, and now almost nobody is.
over 50% of America still claims to be Christian.
Yeah, but it's like, if you asked me on a survey, I would claim it, but I don't go to church. You know what I mean? We're not really Christian.
It's a respect thing, right? Like you.
We're running on Christian fumes, like the fumes of Christianity. It used to be when I was a kid, people said grace at the dinner table. People at restaurants would say grace.
Well, and by the way,
when's the last time you saw somebody at a restaurant say grace? It just doesn't happen.
I'd do it.
Okay, you guys are outliers.
in the mirror next.
Look around. No,
we
hold
still
on.
do
Look
it.
around. Look around the restaurant though, and notice that you're the only person doing it.
I don't know. I have coworkers I see do it.
Yeah, well, suddenly everyone sees everyone do it. Yeah, whatever.
I've never seen it. Listen, guys, I haven't seen anybody do it since the 90s.
Yeah,
So.
you guys are closing your eyes and imagining your.
Maybe, I mean, I see people do it. They do it kind of quietly. They don't make a show out of it. So I mean, it's not like it's something that's being done like everybody sees it. Like I don't think you notice it unless you're actually watching everybody.
I know what it looks like. I know what it looks like when people. I used to say grace my whole life. I know what it looks like when people do it. I'm telling you, I don't see people do it. It's not like it's happening around me, and I'm just not seeing it. It just doesn't happen anymore because the country is much less Christian than it used to be.
Dude, you just live in Sin City.
Dude, I used to live in Arkansas. Okay, I've lived in every part of this country. I travel all over the place. I've been to every state.
Whereas you definitely see Muslim people praying.
Arkansas is the fucking Bible Belt, and I barely saw people doing it even in the 90s. It was like a scattering of people. In the 1950s, everybody did it. In the 1990s, a scattering of people do it. And in 2024, nobody does it. Except for Dave and Silva. But, like, most people are not doing it. Anyway, the point is, listen, this is the point. Christianity is not serving people. It's just not working anymore the way it used to work. And there needs to be a new ideology. That doesn't mean there needs to be a new God. Or, you know, if you're a Christian, you need to abandon it or something. But we need something else that's serving people, and we don't have it. And I don't know what it is, but if it becomes Islam in America, I'll fucking leave. I'm not gonna live a Muslim.
Best place in the world.
Not if it's fucking Muslim. It's not.
What if it's currently the way it is right now with Christianity, right?
Yeah. Except it's Islam. So it's like you're saying it's Islam. It's Islamic. But nobody pays attention to it?
Exactly what you're doing right now.
Yeah. First of all, that's not really true of Islamic societies. It's not really true of Islamic society. It's number one.
Would you still stay, though?
No, I'm not going to live in America if it's non-majority white, and I'm not going to live in America if it's Muslim. I just won't. I won't live in America.
One of the reasons when
I won't live in America if it's communist. I won't live in America if it's Muslim. I have specifics for when and America's just like, it's like my family came here for opportunity. The minute the opportunity is gone, I have no allegiance to this patch of dirt. So we need to fight to maintain the opportunity. That's the whole point.
I fucking knew American Hollow was like almost non-American Hollow. I fucking knew it.
The point is you just don't understand the sort of focus on freedom. In order to maintain freedom, you have to focus on it an inordinate amount and always be scared, nervous, and protective of it going.
I agree with that, but the problem is that the more you guys seem to focus on it, the less freedoms you have. Oh, he's on the phone. Dave, why don't they see this?
I don't know. I just hope people say nice things about Otto when he leaves.
Hold on, I was saying, are you back?
Yeah.
I was saying, the problem is, from my perspective, is that the more you guys seem to focus on your freedoms, the less freedoms you actually have on a year-to-year basis.
I mean, I don't know though. It's like, you know, there are, like, constitutional carry is sweeping through the states. More states are getting constitutional carry than ever.
I've seen that. I think America passed, New York passed something on that, right?
Yeah, that's not a freedom. it's also like Elon Musk buying Twitter was a reaction to censorship. There hasn't been an equivalent reaction in Europe, and there probably won't be. Or the thing with Europe is like, by the time they get to reacting, it'll be violence.
Europe is not worth discussing.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, America is the last best place. It's the only place with freedom left. So we have to fucking think about it and talk about it all the time, because imagine if you had, one rose in your garden and you were trying to defend it. That's what America is. So we got to talk about what we don't want America to be. And I don't want America to be fucking Muslim. And I don't think anybody else does either, except for Muslims.
When I was younger, we moved areas in London because too many brown people showed up in the area that we were living in, and it was the best decision. And I've been telling my parents recently when I go back to London, I'm like, yo, there's too many fucking brown people in this area. You need to get the fuck out of here. So we're looking at that too. And
you came to America to escape,
the UK. Yeah, it's a different country.
You came to the UK to escape Indian society, because Indian society was full of other Indians, and you were like, this sucks. It's like,
yeah. I mean, that wasn't the reason. My dad was basically threatened to be thrown on the stoves by Idi Amin.
Right.
Because Indians own too many businesses in Uganda, and that was the reason why my dad showed up to the UK, because he had to get killed.
That's why a lot of people end up in UK or America. Andrew's family was fleeing prosecution from communists,
Yep. I would absolutely move to America at some point in the future, if certain things fix themselves.
I think America has the most chance of fixing itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you, everything I said just now is outside the Overton window 5 years ago. But now it's within the...
Yeah, no, that's true. Even what you said about Israel. Even what you said about Israel earlier, like, no one gives a fuck about Israel,
That's all within the Overton window. Listen, I care about Americans and American lives and American prosperity, American values. Of all races, all stripes, I care about those things. And I think we need to defend and protect them. And I don't give a shit about foreigners. I don't give a fuck at all. I don't consider myself a citizen of the world. I'm a citizen of America. You know what I mean? I don't know why the fuck I would ever care about foreigners.
I don't know.
There's too many people in the goddamn world for me to give a shit.
I thought you cared about me a little bit. I guess not.
Not until you move to America.
Fuck's sakes.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, the fact that you can say these things like mass deport 20 million people and nobody blinks an eye, like nobody really cares, because everybody, even if they're liberal, they all know that needs to happen. It just shows that America is fighting back against what's going on. It hasn't won yet, but we will defeat wokeness eventually.
I am looking forward to seeing news stories of constitutional carry everywhere in America, and then a lot of people just being shot in the face, and then eventually American society being a lot nicer, like it is in Texas.
Well, we already have our guns everywhere. What we need is guns in New York City and California.
Yeah.
And we need the Supreme Court to strike down some of those unconstitutional rules they have.
Why don't they do that?
I'm not the right person to ask. Johnson could probably tell you that.
Oh. And then once you do all of that, you can start fixing your women.
You can't fix women. They're just women. What you can do is fix dudes. You know what I mean? I'm more concerned about dudes. I think women will always be.
If you fix the dude,
you fix everyone.
If you fix the Huddle, what are you gonna do with the women that can't pressure the dudes into being Simpson?
Well, they're gonna have to adapt to the new market environment.
Adapt? That requires accountability.
No, women can adapt without accountability, bro. Easily. I think it all flows from men. I think a lot of problems. That women have are caused by men being little bitch boys. You know, and if we had more men,
if men just said no to a lot of things, the world would be a lot better.
Yeah, 100%. We need to mandate that every young male lift weights and get testosterone injections if necessary.
This guy's hilarious.
Yo, comes Trey.
Where's El Chorizo, bro?
Yo, what was the beef with Chorizo? I don't even know.
He was saying he could do 30 pull-ups, and then me and Jimmy called him out on it, and then he kind of bitched out, because we were like, all right, you got to prove it now, and he kind of bitched out on it.
He pulled a Teddy. He pulled a what?
A Teddy. Teddy said he couldn't bench 225 pounds 55 times, something like that.
And then went to
Teddy
war
said
with
he
me.
could do 225 50 times?
Yeah, and then went to war with me, bro. That's talking about it, and he was
That's like linebacker number.
Yo, linebacker, nigga, that's top.
NFL Combine.
Yeah, that's top. You're a top recruit, nigga. Not just NFL.
Kilos.
Brock Lesnar didn't even do that shit, you know?
Is that? Okay. Teddy said that.
Talking about kilos.
I cannot. That would be even worse. That would be even worse. Kilos would be even worse.
He also said Chambers a good buy at 80 shot.
Yo, Teddy said he could do 102 kilos 55 times in a row. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, alright.
Even, most bodybuilders can't do that.
It's too much. What the fuck?
Because of the reps. It's too many reps.
Yeah, what was the specific? It was 225 for how many?
Well, if someone said
I think it was in the 40s or 50s. It was 40s.
Yeah, I think the NFL Combine record is
fuck out of here.
What is the NFL Combine record?
The average tight end NFL Combine reps for 225 is 25 to 30 reps.
That's
average NFL tight end.
That's pushing 12,375 pounds.
Yeah,
in one session.
I can do 12 max.
Yeah.
I would be struggling on 12 too.
DBs and NFL wide receivers on average do 15 to 20.
Yeah, I'll be doing wide receiver numbers.
225 is heavy, dude. Even for a big guy like myself, 225 is heavy. It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't feel it, bro. It's just the reps. It's just you'll get really fucking tired. It's just too many reps, bro. And when you're trying to max out, because you ever lift it light, but when you get high in reps, you're like, fuck, bro, you're burning. And I know how to cheat. I don't really bench press, but I'll cheat the file. I'll bounce that shit off my chest. I don't give a fuck, son.
When you're doing combine shit, yeah, you gotta cheat. That's the other thing with Chorizo. He was saying it was strict. Bro, 30 strict is no.
Hey, yo, tell John Fakuri, son, to get on his boy, because he's about to lose his bet. Chorizo's nowhere to be found.
Yo, John already paid me. I already got paid.
What?
Yeah.
Wasn't that part of this bet? Oh, niggas forgot about Jimmy? Alright. Alright, tight. Y'all gave his money.
I told Johnny he didn't have to pay, but he insisted.
Chris was supposed to pay Jimmy. It was Chris and John betting against
I
Jimmy
told
and
y'all niggas, as Chris was offering, I do not want to fucking do this with Chris.
Yo, good luck collecting from Chris.
Yes, I knew it.
But yeah, bro. I don't want to say I didn't have any faith in Chorizo, but
no, Chris will pay.
I didn't have any
Chris will pay. But he did say he might pay you in shots or like over many payments, so that because he said he probably doesn't know how to consolidate the kids also.
What are you talking about? Now he got excuses. Now he can't use Bitcoin. Wait a second, son. My man was so wait. Now I'm upset, bro. My man looked at us in our face. Looked at us, bro. He looked at us, bro. And he told niggas with confidence, bro, I can do this, bro. We had a 45-minute to hour-long debate about this, bro. And he never said that.
It was all.
What the fuck is wrong with this nigga? At least, like, I don't even, I'm gonna tell you, next time I see him, I'm gonna say, I don't respect you. Because at least you would have given me a good 5. Give me a good 10. Man, try to make it halfway there. Don't disappear, nigga. Come on, son. No, I don't believe nothing this nigga says, son.
Yo, you gotta get John Score to pay him. He's good for it.
Nah, if it's coming from John, I don't want to get paid. John doesn't deserve it. John doesn't deserve it. He believed in my man Del Chorizo, bro. No, you don't deserve this, bro. Chris need to give me some fucking money, bro. Fuck Chris. Fuck Canada. Fuck all these niggas.
We need to annex Canada, bro.
Now you guys know how I feel about El Chorizo. I've been taunting you, I've been encouraging you, and you guys don't do nothing. Keep hoping that you're gonna annex.
If it was up to me, Dave, we already would have.
Can you believe me that we'd have to go to war with Britain to do it?
Yo, they would stand by. We would be like, hey.
They're not gonna stand by, bro.
We were about to kill them.
What is Britain gonna do?
Are you fucking retarded, Dave? The king is your fucking chief of state, bro. Attacking Canada is an attack on.
And what is he gonna do? And what is he gonna do?
Nigga, the fuck you talking about? We just can't start bullying niggas. What y'all niggas talking about, bro?
Isn't it so dumb that England still has a king, but it's like all ceremonial?
It's not.
Isn't it kind of dumb that America thinks that you elect the president that actually runs the country?
Yo,
Yeah.
we do. That's why if Kamala gets elected, we're fucked.
Well,
Horrible.
Hey, Tony Blair is responsible for the browning of the UK, so.
the fucking George Bush is responsible for the browning of Tony Blair.
What?
I don't know what's that one,
What
man.
the fuck is that?
What is that?
You keep using your passport to go to brown countries, British. Fuck you. You need to double down on that shit.
Listen, it's true. How come we never hear about British in fucking Norway? You know?
Never, bro. Where's the white girlfriends? Where's your white girlfriends, bro? Why can't the white women get love, bro?
You've literally seen my ex. You know she was white.
Oh, that's just funny. Listen, white Hispanic doesn't count.
Yeah, what do you mean she was white? And you know, with these spicy whites, nigga? What the fuck you talking about?
She calls you Poppy. That don't count, dog.
White bitches
We need
with
an
black
anglicized
hair.
white.
Nah, son. This don't count. White bitches with culture don't count, bro.
This guy's asking
You need white
me
bitches
about
that
white
mayonnaise
girlfriends
sandwiches,
being
nigga.
married to a literal Asian woman.
So that's culture, nigga. Fuck you talking about, nigga?
Now it's culture now.
Yeah, hell yeah, nigga. South Korea, nigga. You ever seen B2? What's that fucking group? BTS, nigga. What up, nigga? Culture, nigga.
Hey, it looks like Trump is about to win this election. Apparently, he's going to announce today the death penalty for child rapists and child traffickers in all 50 states.
Hell yeah. Let's fucking go. Let's let.
Oh,
Yeah, I posted it in the chat.
Here comes Trey.
That's why we lit.
There's something else. The felonies. Let me see. Oh, felony for doctors to perform hand surgery on minors without parental consent. That's fucking big. Yeah,
Trey,
that's
you're
sick.
already getting behind Trump. Don't worry, we all know.
Hey, we're all behind Trump now.
Yeah,
I've been behind Trump. Yo, I was reading Ross Ulbricht's Twitter, and he was like, yo, I eat the same prison food every day for the last 11 years. I like chicken patty Thursday or whatever. I was like, this shit is so depressing. We gotta get this motherfucker out of here.
And chicken patties were what we had for school lunches. Come to think of it, I think that was my favorite meal too.
Yo, I hope Trump does that death penalty for child rapist shit. We need that.
What are the Democrats going to say about that?
Yeah, there's nothing you can say. We don't want the death penalty for child rapists? Oh, why not? Why not? Tell us
They're
why.
just minor, what was it? Minor
attractive people.
Trey, you knew that real quick, huh? When the police pull Trey over, he's a minor attractive people, minor attractive protections.
attracted person needs a bullet to their head.
Yeah, also needs to die.
Yep. Like running cover for that, defending that shit. No.
Fucking Pasta Boy has basically started retweeting things about melatonin supplementation. You believe this shit? Hey, yo, huddle. Is he there? Is he gone?
Yeah.
Right. Fucking, the Power Law boys are all taking a round of applause on that OnlyFans model talking about Power Law. I saw a comment by Fred. Fred's like, I'm glad that in some small way I might have made a difference in this OnlyFans creator's life. And Giovanni's like, she knows, fine mind.
That's so funny. Calling it the power opinion is always so funny to me. You notice he didn't respond to me the other day?
He quit responding to a lot of people.
Well, he yells at everybody, but he didn't want to respond to me, you know? It's like,
hold on, I'm trying to instigate this.
He can't
instigate this. Hold on, let me try and instigate this.
What are you gonna say?
Hold on.
Don't do it, because I'm gonna keep baiting him for. I wanna do this like over a longer period of months.
Alright.
I'm gonna bait him because I'm on your side now. Like now that he's telling people to trade.
Yeah. Wait, you weren't on my side before? Fucking.
I didn't know about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention because his shit is stupid. And then I started seeing he was telling people to trade, and I was like, oh yeah, British was on it. But yeah, man, fucking. What was I gonna say? Every time I see him talk about trading, I'm gonna be there, blowing up the tweet. Yeah.
Yep. Hold on, why do you think the quality of American food is better in Dubai than it is in America?
I reject that premise.
It's not, I've tasted both, unlike you, so I can tell you it's the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, what food are you having in Dubai that's better than America?
Even if we're at Five Guys, let's pick Five Guys. Five Guys in Dubai is way better than Five Guys in Miami.
I don't believe that, but maybe. I don't know.
I'm literally telling you, I've tried it. tried both.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it.
America is the best. I have to believe America.
I just don't believe it. How can Dubai do Five Guys better than we do?
I don't fucking know. I wish I could. That's what I'm asking you. I don't know.
Yo, call me when Dubai has an In-N-Out, motherfucker.
Because their Gen Zers are fucking far.
It's probably got something to do with, I don't know, maybe the quality of the meat. I think the quality of the meat is higher in Dubai.
I don't fucking know.
Dubai's a weird place because it's subsidized as fuck, you know? So probably like some Emirati eats there and he's like, this won't do. And then he, also the fucking, dude, a lot of the Muslims are getting fat as fuck, you know? Because they love food. I've seen some videos of them over there.
Five Guys in Chicago was better than Miami.
Wait, don't they
They're just as big as Americans.
Are they supposed to be fast, and how they get fat?
I don't know, man. I was gonna do the ugly American thing of eating at McDonald's while I was in the UK, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to eat at a fucking McDonald's. I was gonna do it just as a bit, but then I was like, I don't actually
It
want
would have
McDonald's.
sucked. But if you're in Europe ever, then the fast food in Europe is much better than the UK and the
I wanted to go to Nando's though, and I didn't get to go to Nando's.
Oh fuck. We have to go. When we gotta go buy some Pateks and go to Nando's.
I was too busy. I didn't have time to go to Nando's, and then they didn't. I was hoping they had one in the airport, but they didn't.
What is
Nando's?
Nando's is it's a peri peri chicken place, and it's like, yeah, it's like
it's just
It would be like Portuguese barbecue.
It'd be like the British equivalent of like Chipotle or something, you know?
It's just culture, Becca.
It's Portuguese barbecue. That's Nando's, basically. Chicken.
It's like Peruvian chicken? That's what it looks like.
No, it's Portuguese.
Oh, Portuguese. Okay.
It's a cultural phenomenon in the UK. Like I know about it because I hear like drill rappers talk about it, you know, and yeah, it's just one of those things over there.
It's like a commercialized version of regular Portuguese grill, like barbecue chicken, basically.
I don't think you get to talk about anything in the UK being commercialized. Considering everything in America is commercial.
Nando's is here in the US too. It's the same.
I bet it's worse in the US than it is in the UK.
I can make that shit myself, so I don't worry about it. I don't even.
All right, we got Trump leading the polls again and polling.
Oh, really? Was that the reaction to his child rapist thing?
No, I would imagine it's from the DNC. That shows a.
What was that random person? They put, there's a bunch of random people.
I imagine it's because that chick from RFK's campaign said they've been debating pulling out and supporting Trump.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, JFK just needs to endorse Trump and then be on Trump's cabinet.
JFK should do that?
Supposedly, JFK is considering dropping out of the race and supporting Trump.
JFK is doing that?
Those Americans don't understand
This is fucking dumb, Dave. It's not even funny.
Alright.
And we know, same thing, come on.
That's always the American argument. I sound like a retard, but hey, no, I didn't. I'm American.
Listen, bro.
I just registered to vote the first time this.
Don't be mad that America has everything, alright? It's not our fault. They're so great. America has more of everything than every place else. More
America has so much retarded shit.
And more bad. And more bad stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say. And more bad.
we got more water with lead in it. Deal with it. Yeah, really more fresh
water than more fresh water than like the rest of the world combined or something.
Are you including ice in that? Ice doesn't count.
We know it all flows down. So it's all.
You know, water doesn't start at the North Pole and go down. It's like not how it works.
Well, it starts at the center of the earth and it flows out of the Tigris and the Euphrates.
See, Dave gets it.
I always did think there would be war over water. Do you think there is any wars over water at this point in time?
I mean, like Northern California, Southern California should be at war with each other over water. Somehow, like Southern California is like, nah, we just win all over Northern California.
The war is not over water.
There's wars over water in some countries, but not first world country. It's not that hard to pick what water if you're a first world country.
The war is over words, emotions, trolling. It's just gang on gang violence all throughout the world.
That was a small rant. What happened to the old Adrian?
Adrian has to go outside and cut the grass and clean shit and prepare the Airbnb for the new guy from Taiwan coming for work.
Becoming a professional adult.
I can't just troll on Clown House all day and call myself a respectable American. I gotta go to the gym and vote Trump, fatties.
Yo, you got a permit for the Airbnb?
No, if it's over 31 days in Chicago, a permit is not required.
Are you in Chicago? Attending the festivities?
No, I'm not going downtown. But I hear the police, even in the Northwest Side, having to go on the highway because these free Palestinian people are flooding the DNC. They're flooding the highway. They're flooding everything. There's 50,000 of them.
And I bet you they're staying in Airbnbs while they do it.
Not at my Airbnb. I think they're probably sleeping in tents.
How do you vet for that?
Well, in this situation, I already know because I don't have a tenant, but, you know, I'm just saying that you get people that come in for Pride Parade, you get people that come in for all kinds of shit, and some guy who, you know, voiced himself on X, Airbnb, deplatformed him because of his political opinion. So now I'm actually worried that, you know, that Airbnb would deplatform me for having a conservative voice on X. And Elon is actually funding a lawfare now against Airbnb for deplatforming for being a conservative pro-Trump on X.
So, you get your balls back from Elon, or you can just still be quiet?
No, Adrian Dittman is not Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is not Adrian Dittman. I am 100% sure of this.
Yeah, but it sounds like he
handed over your balls to Airbnb, Elon was taking it back.
No, I don't have problems with Airbnb. I was talking about something that came up in the news. But the Chicago police just took in, I believe, like 3,000 bricks that were placed strategically near the DNC for the rioters. So whether that's the liberals doing that to themselves, which is more likely, or anarchist groups like communist groups, I very much doubt a MAGA fanboy or supporter would waste their money buying bricks for pro-Palestinian terrorists to attack the Democrats. Just one more comment, I guess. The Democratic National Committee looks like a pimps and hoes gathering of scam artists giving themselves awards.
Truly the academic dichotomy of what we're facing here. But I noticed he mentioned one thing, and that was most important, is leaders have one primary job, and that is to give other people courage. More so than any one thing, it's to give other people courage. And what the council most fears is President Trump, is because not only does he know who they are, he now has a much better understanding of who they are, and he gives other people courage. Timothy and myself coming on the show here today, I hope we give other people courage to do the same. We have hundreds of whistleblowers, hundreds of our peers, classmates, people who are ready to speak up, but they need to have a person they can speak up to. And one thing I'd like to go before we only have a minute for the break, I'd like to come back. I really wanted to focus on the propaganda arm, because that propaganda arm is what has quashed honest journalism, and it's also quashed good people. And I want to focus on the next segment, if we could, and we only have a short time, is on Norm Eisen and the propaganda arm and what has occurred over the last 10 years that is allowing them to shape our elections and the mindset of our republic and what to expect in the election, and by educating people, giving them the power to resist and
That's right. Greg Stidstrom, stay there. We'll have about 15, 20 minutes in the next hour. But I want to invite you both up. If you can do it on a Saturday or even a weeknight, we're doing ARP at DNC this week. We can come in here and do like an hour and a half, 2 hours commercial free. We can have all the documents in a row, because exactly, you just hit the top of the pyramid earlier, Colonel, which is key to at the top of the Inspector Generals, but then they've got their arms and everything in this council through this law, this system passed by the legislature that is gobbling up the entire nation. They have similar programs worldwide. We'll be right back.
COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. We want to stop this epidemic. We need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin, their body temperature. Like we walked in here, we had to go through a body temperature test. But exactly the same technology can determine what you think about the government. You know, anger is a biological phenomena, just like disease. With this kind of surveillance, I mean, you watch a big president, a big leader, gives a speech on television. The could be monitoring you and knowing whether you're angry just by analyzing the cues that even run and analyze. Are you angry about what you hear? Are you bored? This is the kind of power that Stalin didn't have. When Stalin gave a speech, everybody supposed to clap their hand and smile. Now, how do you know what they really think about Stalin? It's very difficult. You can't have a KGB agent following everybody all the time. Even if you do it, he's just watching your outside behavior. He doesn't really know what's happening in your mind. But in 10 years, the future Stalins of the 21st century could be watching the minds, the brains of all the population all the time. And also they will have the computing power to analyze all that.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. Well, we're trying to save the Republic here. Brandon Stinstrom is our guest. He's a naval officer, special warfare. Colonel Timothy Schindler, just Marine Corps. I won't go over his great bio here, but came highly recommended by the Trump campaign to get these guys on because they've done a great analysis of this really criminal takeover that's happened. And if you wonder how the deep state works, here is the blueprints of the damn thing. Greg, some stations don't carry this segment, but they do carry the next one. And we'll do a deeper dive on this because their surveillance arm, which is their censorship arm, is really the teeth of this thing. And so let's start getting into who is commanding this, and we'll name some names.
Sure. We can bring it up further, but what I'd like to talk about is the propaganda arm specifically. The propaganda arm is critical to what they're doing, and is what the propaganda arm is what they use to crush honest journalism. And it's been what has quashed Fox News, removed Tucker Carlson from Fox News, Emerald Robinson from Newsmax. They've certainly bracketed you and attacked you as a conspiracy theorist versus someone who presents honest journalism. They've gone after Roger Stone, just about anybody who can provide truthful, honest news.
It would take hours. They've attacked millions of people.
Right. But I want to, if the control room there can bring up the propaganda arm on the screen, I want to highlight someone here. His name is Norm Eisen. And I want to just briefly discuss what's happened here in the propaganda arm. And knowing that we have another segment, I'd like to talk a little bit about elections. But can the control room bring up Norm Eisen, the picture of him as the special counsel?
Yes, we'll bring up the special counsel. Start describing him.
Norm Eisen was a peer of Obama. It's further down the propaganda arm. But he is a Harvard Law School graduate with President Obama. And he has been a lifelong peer of Obama. And he is, I want to say, deranged in terms of his feelings towards the American Republic, towards President Trump. He's written a book called Ending Trumpery, but he was injected into the council in multiple roles, which Tim has been describing for the better part of the past hour. But the media arm is Norm Eisen. And one of the things that happened here that's enabled this is in 2015, actually 2012, they had the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. And then in 2015, Obama signed Executive Order 13707, which was using behavioral science insights to better serve the American people. And what they did is they reversed the Information and Educational Exchange Act of 1948. And it's very technical, but the bottom line is they said the government can now put out propaganda. They reversed an act dating back to 1948 that did not allow propaganda, and now in the 2012 to 2015 and up to the current day, they have codified and made it lawful to lie to the American public. And what you see on that screen is liar number one. In the circles that he works in, he's known as the rabbi. That is not a denigrative to the faith, but indicative of his methodology and his obsession with lies. Through him, the media is controlled and people are denigrated, isolated, contained, destroyed. He will attack anyone who is going to oppose the council, the extraction of wealth, and their control over this country. So I know we've only got, we're going into the next segment here. We've only got 30 seconds, I think. And we can come back on the live show and talk more about that. The election.
Put those chumps up against you. And again, we'll do more broadcasts on this. We'll do a whole show where you'll just send us stuff in chronological order: Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3, Exhibit 4. We'll let some people just go read the report for themselves. They'll be able to see it and everything right there. But this is couldn't be more important information. And I'm Alex Jones, your host at Infowars.com/show, band.video, and Real Alex Jones on X.
Yeah, he had turned it into a whole thing.
Infowars favorite is now back in stock after over a year of not being available. It is the vitamin C and zinc with rose hips. Now, this is a copy of Linus Pauling, who won the Nobel Prize for his findings of vitamin C's formula. It is 1,000 milligrams of organic vitamin C with zinc to take it into the cells and rose hips. Do you believe that's supercharged? This formula is amazing. We've not had it for over 12 months. Now it's available back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. It is simply incredible. What it does for your whole body, your immune system, is next level. So whether it's super good health or not good health, everybody benefits from this formula. It's back in stock. It's got at InfoWarsStore.com. Vitamin C and zinc with rose hips at InfoWarsStore.com. And it funds the operation. So that's a win-win. Vitamin C with zinc. Linus Pauling formula at InfoWarsStore.com.
Came up. Someone was making a live stream of the information war comparing our airfield. Was that sniper drops?
For exposing the council, who is really running the United States? We only covered the tip of it. Inspector General, yes, in the late 70s. Greg Stinstrom, one of the researchers here on this, along with our other guest, Colonel Timothy Schindler. And you were getting into the propaganda arm and describing the individual. Please recap that and continue.
Just to recap for the show, the propaganda arm is going to be incredibly important to the upcoming election. The council, which has been described by Colonel Schindler, Dr. Schindler, for the better part of the fast hour, he has laid out their codification, the fact that they're a real organization, but they have a thing called a propaganda arm, and I'm going to call it liar number one, is Norm Eisen. He was classmates with Obama at Harvard, and he has been injected by Obama into the council. The council has basically using him as the propaganda arm. In between 2012 and 2015, they reversed the Smith-Mundt Act, or they called it the Smith-Modernization Act. They used an executive order, and they repealed part of the 1948 Act, which now allows propaganda to be inflicted on the United States citizenry. And the reason this is important to this conversation today and the dissection of the council is we need to know who our enemies are and who the enemies of our country are. And, we have to name names, name their organizations, show their photographs, describe their criminal acts, and call them out so that other people, not just us, can act on remedying and removing these people and, quite frankly, bringing them to justice.
Well, that's right. And Colonel, you had mentioned Raskin and all these other people. I mean, and his father being the big communists that engineered this current model. I mean, this is a bureaucracy that's literally handing down its power. And then we've got Raskin running around on TV saying, we're going to have civil war, we're not going to accept Trump, we're going to arrest our enemies, but then separately, they're accusing Trump of planning to round everybody up. What's going on there?
That's called mirror image. And one of the advantages of mirror image is if I'm maybe not as strong as I need to be, I simply present you with this picture. And after belief is strong emotional attachment to a mental proposition. That's how we teach it. So if I can get you to believe something, doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's false. Actually, it has nothing to do with it. It's about perception, what you perceive. Because I'm after trying to get your behavior. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. So he is laying out the threat pattern. This is what we're going to do. And the beauty of this, if you were to look at this like a novel, like a layout novel, these are the two snakes. And they're climbing up the pole, and they're seeing which snake will get to the top first. And the one who gets to the top first is going to devour the other snake. This has nothing to do with violence. Quite frankly, just as they learned when they did the Port Huron statement, violence has nothing to do with this. Violence is rude, it's crude, it's unnecessary. Because once I control the administrative arms of power, the bank, I own everything. There's no reason to do that. But if I can hide in plain sight, I will be okay. That's what's going on here. They're scared, and they should be scared. Because if the American public understands what is going on and says, wait a minute, you can't do this, you're just a public servant. You're an unelected bureaucrat. You don't have the power to do this. No. When I send you a letter, you will answer the mail. It's your job. As a matter of fact, if, God forbid, if you are working with someone else and it is a collusionary action, because that is a criminal offense. But then I guess we would need to have a Department of Justice that was interested in justice.
And as you point out in the report, that's another big part of the council. You go through all the different divisions in the report. How many, from your research, how many divisions of the council are there? And then they have sub-councils regionally and locally, don't they?
The best way to look at it is like this. There are 94 U.S. attorneys across the country, and they are naturally aligned with all of the courts. And they reflect, and they will prosecute or not prosecute whatever they're told to prosecute or not prosecute. If they are ideologically polarized, in other words, they're making their decisions upon an ideological belief, and it isn't based upon their individual oath to the Constitution, not an individual, to the Constitution of the United States. If they don't do their duty, they should be administratively removed. And if they are criminally complicit, they should be tried. And that's essentially what we're dealing with. If I were a co-opted public servant, I would be worried. Because if they do not win, they lose everything. They will be held accountable. And another thing that the American public should get used to is this: 42 U.S. Code, 42 U.S. Code, 1983. That's important because that's the ability to hold the individual accountable for their actions. That's right. When you're a public servant and you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, you are the vanguard that protects our country. But if you're ideologically polarized and you believe in something other than our country, you shouldn't be in the federal government. And that's what we're dealing with right now. So if they are unsuccessful in completing this bloodless coup, there will be accountability. And one of the things we need to make sure that we get across is when we saw what was happening to Greg in the state of Pennsylvania, we looked down and we saw this and we said, wow, we've been collecting hundreds of whistleblowers.
building all the cases, names, times, dates, talk to the senators, the congressmen, talk to the members of the DOJ, the FBI, the U.S. attorneys, and I literally mean that, as in, U.S. Attorney blank, your job is to do this. You have not done that. It's a crime. You need to do your duty. Well, we understood in 17 and 18 that there was literally an organized effort to obstruct the government.
Well, Colonel, let me tell you a quick story. This is just one of many. About a year ago, we get contacted by a federal agent who has a nice background, good record. He says, I'd like you to meet with a federal judge. We did it over Zoom one morning here for about an hour, and there was the top federal judge in a certain area. I was going to say top federal judge, and she really wasn't even trying to hide it or anything. She was saying, look, everything I'm giving you is public. Here's all the cases, and we need you to get this to Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson. And about a week later, some of it did go out on Fox. But she was telling me, they were telling me where they would catch, say, a 4-time convicted child molester back from Mexico driving a school bus for mentally handicapped kids in South Texas, and they arrest him. And the Justice Department had the power to tell the federal judge or the magistrates under her, you cannot prosecute. In the statutory law, they can hold them for like a month, I think they said, because they were illegal crosser, but that was it. And they said they do this everywhere. They do not let us prosecute child traffickers, you name it. And this is like the head federal judge. I'm giving away who it is. I mean, the point is, I'm sure they know. The point is, head federal judge. So they're that frustrated by what's going on. And so they're afraid the judiciary that's not perfect, but has some good people, might stand up to the bureaucracy. So that's why they want the inspector generals to come in and take over. But that's just one of many conversations I have with the federal agents and with the judges that themselves are asking me what to do, and they're giving me advice. And I mean, it's flabbergasting.
The reason that we're here, let's be honest, is to provide the answers to the questions. That's it. And we're supposed to answer the questions. Somebody's doing something. Tell me what they're doing. Well, this is what they're doing. Now, whether you like it, or whether you dislike it, or whether you're going to stand up and do something, I can't do that. I'm no longer in the military. There was a time that's what I did for a living.
All right, Colonel, we're out of time. Greg, we're out of time. Both of you, please come back soon, and we'll drill into other aspects and sectors of this and talk about solutions. Patriot.online. I've also posted on Axel Alex Jones, the report, the council. Greg Stenstrom, thank you so much. Patriot.online. Colonel Timothy Schindler, amazing. Thank you so much, both of you. Colonel, if anybody else wants to talk to you or interview or give you info, how do they contact you?
Well, what we would like to do, Alex, is we want to build the team that we're going to need now so that we can effectively influence across all 50 states. Once Trump wins, it's going to be a battle. It isn't going to be something simple, but he's going to have to successfully govern. And in his first 20 days, he's going to do something that this nation has never seen. It's not going to be a 100-day plan. It's going to be a 20-day plan. And he is going to bring the seismic changes that we need to right the ship. And Greg and I are going to be there with our intellectual capital, and we're going to help him figure out exactly what he needs to do. And we want to join with all of the people. We want to take all the intellectual capital, put it together, operationalize it, and then push it forward. And this is exactly what we're doing. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, we're out of time. I apologize, but I've got a guest host set to come in here. You guys let my producers know when you want to come back on. We'll do part 3, and we'll drill into solutions and why they're so scared of Trump getting back in. And I guess the best place to go is Patriot.online to contact you guys?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for your work. We'll talk to you soon. Now, folks, it's up to you. This live part's over. We'll continue to be live the rest of the hour. Then Owen takes over at 3 o'clock. But it's up to you now when this is posted on X and band.video to share it, have it go viral. It's an information war. Here's a quick, very important report from John Bowden on this very subject. And then Maria Z's coming in. I'm inviting her on my show before she goes back to Australia here in the next few days. Maria Z is coming up, so stay with us. because of not enforcing our nation's laws. This could not be further from the truth. The majority of all migrants encountered at the southwest border throughout this administration have been removed, returned, or expelled. A majority of them. We are doing everything we can within a broken system to incentivize non-citizens to use lawful pathways, to impose consequences on those who do not, and to reduce irregular migration. Mexican soldiers supervise migration route as illegals rush U.S. border.
The huge caravans that crossed to Eagle Pass in the last days of December. The migrants showed us the GPS they obtained when leaving a shelter to find a distant location on the Rio Grande.
Our own military, you see it all over the internet. Oh, look at it, put the military on the border. I'm going to explain it again. We've been there, we've shot the video, it's all over the news. The U.S. military is down there facilitating and running the open border and cutting down barbed wire that the Texas Guard put up and the state police put up.
Does the Biden White House have any intention to tackle this crisis in any meaningful way in the lead up to the 2024 election?
No, on the contrary, they are suing Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott, and the state of Texas for Texas's attempts to put some buoys in the Rio Grande, trying to secure Texas's territorial sovereignty against the Mexican drug cartels and, frankly, Hezbollah and some radical Islamic groups that control large swaths, operationally speaking, of the U.S.-Mexico border. So they're actually, not only are they not trying to mitigate the damage, they're actually throwing fuel right into the fire, trying to make it worse.
So let's just get that straight. Oh, there's liberal groups down there running things. Yeah, you think so? NGOs, non-governmental organizations.
A group from Venezuela showed up on the doorstep here at the Red Cross recently. No one knew they were coming, and they claimed they were given the address here by agents with the Border Patrol. Immigrant aid agencies were contacted and helped them find a place to live.
We talked to these asylum seekers who just got off the train. Everyone had heard that the United States is giving them a direct pass to cross the border.
What happens now, if you're talking about all these different people that have penetrated, all these different intelligence operatives, sleeper cells that have penetrated our southern border, what are the kind of extortion points, the pressure points that are used from within?
We all know why the Democrats hang their hat on ignoring the word illegal, because they have no qualms about doing whatever it takes to further their growing socialist cause, even if those actions are illegal. And just how many illegal aliens are in the United States? Pew Research would have us believe 11.5 million. While a new Ivy League study doubles that number according to Breitbart. The population of illegal immigrants is roughly 22 million, or twice the establishment estimate of 11 million, say 3 professors from Yale University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. But you have to account for the illegal aliens that remain in the shadows after decades of unchecked border crossings. And if you allow something illegal to go on long enough, the reason for the established laws becomes more apparent. The Washington Examiner reported nearly half of the residents in the nation's 5 biggest cities do not speak English at home, choosing instead their native language. According to the latest Census Bureau data that details the impact of a decade of soft immigration policy, overall a record 67 million do not speak English at home. That has nearly doubled in 27 years.
But I'm talking about the top people in the country who are willing to talk about immigration. The issue is just sitting there on the ground waiting for somebody to pick it up.
Unfortunately, most of the black political leaders that have a platform are actually politicians. Now, I'm from a nonprofit. You know, we don't endorse anyone, but I think that, you know, they go along with whatever the prevailing issue that will keep them in their positions. But there are people who want to speak up. I have many of them. We just have to have people who are brave enough to be able to allow their voices to be heard.
John Bowden reporting for InfoWars.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm your guest host, Maria Z of ZMedia.com, and I have a very, very important guest coming up in just a moment to talk to us about the smart city weapon systems that are being deployed across the UK, Australia, and certainly, I would say, in the US. And I witnessed some of that last year when I was here in Florida with all of the streets being purple. But before I bring our guest Mark Steele on, I just want to talk to you briefly about why this topic matters today. This article, as you've seen, if you've been watching since the morning, Chase spoke about it, Alex spoke about it, the Biden administration rushes digital ID plans. That was just posted on InfoWars this morning, and let me tell you that this is absolutely devastating. I've been warning for some time about what this means in Australia, and there's certainly a tweet I want to take you through in a moment of an Australian that moved to Iceland who was subjected to digital ID and what that looks like in his country when he was warning Australians about digital ID, and now I'm warning Americans because I've come from a country where they say, oh, this is voluntary, but within 2 days of them passing digital ID into legislation, an electrician who was trying to renew his license so that he could work was told, you can't do it unless you get a digital ID. What is a digital ID? Well, it's a social credit system, or at least an ID that links you to one. And although we may not be seeing the evidence of that just yet, you only need to look to countries like China to see how digital ID is weaponized against the populations. And this does relate to the smart city conversation that we're going to be having today. But I want to briefly show you from this man's ex-post. Australia just passed its digital ID bill into law. I'm Australian, but I live in Iceland, a country that already has an all-encompassing digital ID system. And he says, if you're wondering how this is going to look, I'll tell you here. Now, just replace Australia with America so that you can get a sense of what this actually means. So he says, in Iceland, the digital ID system is linked to each person's Kenitala or social security number. I sign into everything with my electronic ID via my phone. Anytime I access my bank account, phone services, accounting, tax, insurance, credit score, manage my assets, meaning car or house, power bill, medical record, when I vote, or even want to pull up to a store store receipt of something I've bought, it's all linked to my digital ID, everything in one place, everything. And of course, that opens you up to penalization if you purchase things that aren't considered net zero. He says you can't even get power turned on, get a phone number, buy or register a car, rent or buy a house, or even buy certain items without having a digital ID. He says it does have some benefits, of course. When you try to do something, it's more streamlined. That's if you trust the government with your data. But he says anyone can look up where he lives, the license plate of his car, how much tax he paid last year. There is absolutely no privacy at all in Iceland. Now, to pair with that absolute dystopia where everything that you do is on display at all times, every single movement, everything is tracked and monitored, and you cannot function in society without this digital ID, which, by the way, initially won't issue you a negative social credit score. That comes later. Apart from all of that, you have the smart city infrastructure that is going to track and trace every single breath, and that is what my guest today is going to talk to us about. Not just the tracking and tracing, but the weapons that are being deployed in these smart cities. Mark Steele is a weapons expert, and he's also been exposing the weapons systems that are being deployed in smart cities. Mark Steele, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Maria. It's really good to be here.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to have you. Well, we're going to break in a moment, Mark, but you and I have spoken several times about the C40 Cities Network, the weapons systems. You are, in fact, in touch with Blade Runners yourself over there, who are pulling down these weapons systems, and the team's got some of those clips, which you can just play as we're talking, pulling down these weapons systems without consequence, by the way, because if they were to try and prosecute these people, they would actually expose in court that these are weapons systems. And so this is what you revealed to me the last time that we spoke, Mark. But today we're going to actually look at Unext Traffic. We're going to look at some of their stated policies, this fusion technology, and also the Microsoft Azure system. Mark, you've recently been experiencing censorship. We've got about 30 seconds to break. Am I reading this right? I'm seeing barely any likes or comments on your Substack, which is not typical of your Substack. You normally get quite a lot of people looking.
Yes, we get lots and lots of censorship now. The digital platform that do not want people to get or to understand what 15-minute cities really are about. They don't want people to know that the social credit score is actually a way to control because they're
Stay there, Mark. We're gonna dive into all of this right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Alex Jones here with a call of action, a call to action for all the patriots out there watching or listening to this transmission. We can't fight the globalists without your support. And I can't think of an organization or group out there other than President Trump that has had more of an effect against the New World Order of this operation. And that's because of the grace of God and your support and our intrepid crew. And I'm asking you now at a critical time going into this election where the enemy is trying to shut everybody down and put everybody in prison to double down and support the broadcast more than ever, to share the articles, the videos, the links, and to get the products at InfoWarsStore.com. So, 2.5 years ago, one of our great supporters and sponsors came forward and said, you ought to sell collectible cards with a little ingot of gold in it. These are very, very popular. And I went looking up online. It is very, very popular. It's not an investment. It's a collectible. If you want to get gold or silver and get the best prices on it, that's Dr. Kirk Elliott at KEPM.com/gold. Best group out there, highest ratings, amazing prices, the best. This is a collectible and a memento to know you supported the broadcast. Then the bankruptcy started, and the people that came in from the court said, we're not going to keep outside people's products in here, in your store, and they kicked them back to the folks, despite the fact we already sold out of half of these in just a month. Well, now that I'm back in control of the company, and now that InfoWars itself is not in bankruptcy, I am able to offer these again, and this will help keep us on air. InfoWars has teamed up with one of the nation's leading mints to help you acquire this 24 karat .999 pure gold without paying thousands of dollars an ounce. Stock up on 24 karat .999 pure gold in the most popular size of 1/10 gram, an affordable, sleek card that fits your wallet, drawer, glove compartment, and is
It was the weakest bill. Under that bill, millions of people would have been allowed to come in. This was a weak bill, but you didn't need a bill. I didn't have a bill. I said, close the border. And that's how we got to those numbers, the lowest ever recorded. I said, close the border. I didn't have a bill. I didn't need a bill. She doesn't need a bill. Biden doesn't know where he is. So where is he? Whatever happened to him? He got out. He's now sunbathing. He's in a beach someplace. But all he would have to do as president or her is say, close up the border. And it's closed. But they don't want to close the border because when they first took over, I had built hundreds of miles of wall, and I had 200 miles of wall in addition to what I said I was going to do, because certain areas needed it. As we closed areas, other areas became very, very strong in terms of people wanting to come through. So I bought 200 additional miles. It would have taken about 3 weeks to erect it. We were all set to erect it. Then we had a terrible election take place, terrible election, and everybody here knows that. And I realized that they don't want to do it. And they actually sold that, and that was designed to the highest specifications of, when you look at the steel, it's concrete, 5,000-pound concrete inside, and then rebar. And it also has a lot of technology, wires and things in it for high technology. It was designed to the highest specs of the Border Patrol. I wanted actually concrete plank. I would have done a beautiful job with precast, like you have in parking garages, long span. It's called long span precast, but they had to be able to see through. I understand that. They needed certain things that you can't do with concrete plank. So we did that, and very expensive to do because you needed all sorts. In other words, they wanted the steel, they wanted the concrete. It's all different methods. Of very hard to cut it, very hard to do it when you have different substances, and then very powerful rebar inside. And what happened is, as soon as they came in, they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar.
They sold this stuff. Somebody made a lot of money because that steel is very valuable, but they sold all of that, hundreds of miles of stuff. You saw it stacked up for a long period of time, where they stacked it up in an area because Texas wanted to use it and finish the job. We built hundreds of miles, but Texas wanted it. They would have paid for it. They didn't. They refused to sell it to Texas. They refused to sell it to Arizona, and they refused to sell it to anybody. They sold it to the junkyards, I guess, and 5 cents on the dollar the day. On day one, I will seal the border. I will stop the invasion. We had the border sealed. I had Mexico. I had thousands of soldiers from Mexico, free of charge. I said to the president, "You must give us soldiers because they're coming through. The caravans are coming through your country." No, I cannot do that. I said, "Yes, you'll do that. If you don't do that, I'm going to put tariffs on your cars." And he said, "I will do that, sir." And he did it. He did it very quickly, and it really, you guys heard all about it, made a great difference. We had thousands of Mexican soldiers guarding our borders. They're coming through your country. You have to guard your southern border, which is their border on the other side. And all of a sudden they started, and we had remain in Mexico. It's called a remain in Mexico policy, which we never had. And they stayed in Tijuana, different places, hundreds of thousands of people. They didn't come into our country until they were checked. And then if they were good, we let them in. If they weren't, we wouldn't let them in. And we worked well with Mexico, actually. But now Mexico is really taking advantage of our country. They want billions of dollars just to talk. They wouldn't say that with me. They wanted, I think, $2 billion to talk, right? We will talk. We want $2 billion before we even start. That wouldn't happen with me. I would say, "Oh, really? Is that right? That's the end of trade with Mexico." And they would say, "Sir, we will give you $2 billion. How about that?" So I'll send Kamala's illegal aliens back home where they belong. We have a problem because when I came in, they wouldn't accept MS-13 gang members. I told the generals we're going to get the gang members out. ICE and Border Patrol, the job these people do, but ICE would go into the country, get the MS-13 gang members out, the meanest, the most vicious. They kill people with knives. They killed 2 young students walking to school, 2 beautiful young 16-year-old girls walking to school. They killed them up and chopped them up into pieces with knives, dead. And ICE goes in and they go into those packs of rough people. And ICE is rougher than they are. These are incredible, brave patriots. A lot of people wouldn't want that job. You see fists and feet, you see everything flying, and they grab them, they throw them into what they used to call a paddy wagon. They put them into planes, they take them out. The countries wouldn't take them back under President Obama. And I said, "Really, they're not going to take them back?" "Well, they're not going to take them back. I'm going to stop paying them." I said, "How much money do we pay these countries? El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and others." I said, "How much money do we pay?" $750 million. They said, "Good, inform them we're not paying them anymore." And the following morning, I got calls from all of these countries. Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. We would love to take them back. We would love to have MS-13. We would love to have MS-13 back in our country. It would be a great honor to have them back. And, before we get too far, we're almost finished, but before we get too far, I want to tell you that we have criminals from all over the world pouring into our country right now. Your job will never be obsolete. It will never be obsolete, unfortunately. It'd be nice if we could have peace, but we're not going to have peace. And this is something we're going to have to live with for a long time. She has allowed millions of people, open border, to flow into our country totally unchecked, totally unvetted. And they come from jails and prisons, slightly different. They come from mental institutions, all over the world. This isn't just in South America. People think it's South America. It's from Africa, Asia, the Middle East. A lot of people coming from the Congo in Africa, the Congo. Rough. And they're prisoners. They're prisoners. And we say, "Where do you come from, Africa?" "Where in Africa?" "Prison." "What did you do?" We don't want to say. They turn out to be murderers. These are rough people, and we're allowing them into our country from all over the world. From South America, yes, but from all over the world. They come from insane asylums, and many are terrorists. So we have prisoners, mental patients, mental institution patients, terrorists pouring into our country, totally unchecked, unvetted. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world. We know where they are approximately, but we don't know too much, but we know they're the worst. We have the worst terrorists in the world pouring into our country. And she's the president and wants to be the president of the United States. She's vice president. She could do it. She's in charge of the border. She could have closed up the border. She should have closed it up. They could have told Mexico, if you don't do it, we're not going to do something. We're not going to have trade. We're not going to deal with you. We're not going to let you sell your cars into the United States at these ridiculous, they took 32% of our car industry over many years. They took it out of Detroit. They took it out of different places, but they took it, and they took it big from this state, from South Carolina, from a lot of different places. They took 32%, and I think now the number is bigger. You know, I don't know if you know that they're building some of the biggest car plants in the world right now in Mexico. Wouldn't happen with me. Right now in Mexico, and China's the one building them, and they think they're going to make these cars and then release them into the United States without tax. It's not going to happen. We'll put 100% or 200% tariff. We're not going to let it happen because all of our jobs from your state will be gone. And I watched this union head. He's an incompetent guy. He's approving for what he did, for what he's allowed. Every job, every auto worker here will be out of a job within 3 years if I'm not elected. Every auto worker in the state, they're all going to be made in China. They're going to an all-electric policy. Well, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any country in the world, but we don't have for what you need for an electric car. But China does, and its territories do, and we're not going to let it happen. But they're building some of the biggest plants. I have a friend who builds plants. He said some of the biggest in the world, I think he's doing them, are being built in Mexico. And they're going to sell cars, produce them and sell them in this country with no tax. It's not going to happen. And I told them, I said, you better hope I don't win. Always dangerous to say these things. Maybe that's why I get shot at and other people don't. Right, John James? That's probably why I get shot at. Other people, they'll protect other people because they can't believe they got so lucky. But I have to do what I have to do. I have to do the right thing. The border czar, Kamala Harris, has allowed hordes of illegal alien criminals to literally stampede into our country. We're going to end that on day one. We're going to close our border. We're going to get all of the bad ones out. And we're going to get them out fast. In Shelby Township, Michigan, earlier this year, a 32-year-old previously deported illegal alien monster was arrested for repeatedly sexually assaulting a young girl under the age of 13. Local law enforcement described the crimes as absolutely horrific and says he had many other victims, including death is involved. Death. Young girls. In St. Joseph County, Michigan, an illegal alien was recently charged with breaking into a home and sexually assaulting two very little girls, very badly assaulted. In Mississippi, just days ago, an illegal alien child predator was charged with raping a 10-year-old boy, and there were other cases where they were raping 10-year-old boys and girls, and in many cases they were dead, they were killed. Last week in Coney Island, 2 Kamala migrants were arrested for the rape of a 46-year-old woman who was loved by so many people, throwing her to the ground and raping her over and over again, and then working her over with a knife to her throat. One of them had previously been arrested for raping another woman, but he was shielded from deportation by the New York City sanctuary laws, which Kamala strongly supports. She wants it very much. The woman said he didn't want to rape me. He wanted to kill me. She thought she was dead. She survived, but she thought she was dead. She said he didn't want to rape me. He wanted to kill me. This is what we're allowing into our country. And then you hear, oh no, the people coming in, they're much less violent than the people. That's not right. They're much more violent. And, they make a hat. Sheriff, they make a hat. And I don't want to brag, but it says Trump was right about everything. And if you look, whether it's the border, I've been right about everything. And unfortunately, I wish I wasn't. So when I return to the White House, we will stop the plunder, rape, slaughter, and destruction of our American suburbs, our cities and towns. And I think that women living in the suburbs, I keep hearing about the suburban woman doesn't like Trump. Well, I think it's a fake poll, because why would they like me? I keep the suburbs safe. I stopped low-income towers from rising right alongside of their house, and I'm keeping the illegal aliens away from the suburbs. I think that they like me a lot. I think it's a lot of fake polls. We've seen a lot of fake polls over the years. That was not supposed to win anything, and we won the big one. We won it. I did a lot better the second time than I did the first. But women want to have safety. They want to have a strong military. They want to have a strong police force. They want to be in their house and they want to be safe. They don't want to have people pouring into their doors and you can't do anything about it, right? So I think that's the number one thing. I hope they like my personality. I have a nice personality, but to me, it wouldn't be very important, the personality. They want to be safe. They want people like this happy, and they want people like this taken care of properly, because those are the people that keep them safe. So we'll shut down all deadly sanctuary cities throughout the country, because all they do is they shield criminals. I mean, they basically shield criminals from prosecution. I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement. We're going to put a lot of immigration enforcement. We're going to close down the border day one. And we are going to, just so you understand, I am not a radical at all. I'm just a common sense person that was successful in what I did because of the same thing. We are going to let people, and we want people to come into our country. A lot of people. We need them. We need them for jobs. We need them for everything. We want people to come in, but they have to come in through a process. They have to come in legally. And we can let a lot of them come in, but John, we want them to come in to our country legally. We don't want to let people come in who've murdered 19 people, and then you hire that person in the plant, and all of a sudden you notice that people are being killed all over town. We want them to come in legally. On day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country, bigger than Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight Eisenhower was he was sort of a moderate person, but he hated when people poured into our country, and he was very strong on deportation. We will remove all criminal aliens immediately. All of the criminals, we start with that. We're going to get them out of here fast. Nothing good is going to happen with thousands of terrorists being in our country. You know, we had 1 month where Border Patrol was actually, does a chart, and I don't believe this, I love it in a certain way, but I don't. They said in 2019, zero terrorists came in. Now, I don't believe that, but it's an awfully good statistic. But it was very few that came in. We were very tough on that. We had everybody checked so carefully. And they added, actually in 2019, they had zero. Now you have thousands of terrorists coming into our country. Thousands of terrorists. These are the people that blew up the World Trade Center. Bad things will happen. And if I'm elected, we're going to get them the hell out of here. We're going to get them out of here fast, very fast. And I told you that other countries who really they put their people into groups. They send them up here, and by the thousands, the caravans. I think it was a name that I came up with. I don't know. Maybe somebody will say he's lying about that. Somebody else used the term 14 days earlier, but we came up because it just seemed like an appropriate term. It's a caravan of thousands of people. We have one caravan coming up right now, thousands of people that go right into the country. But I call these, they wouldn't take the MS-13 people back or other criminals back. And the general said, we're just not able to do it, sir, because they won't take them back. They put planes on the runways so that you couldn't land the plane. They'd block up the bus lanes so you couldn't bring the buses, and you couldn't get them back. And when I told them that they wouldn't get any more money, I said, let them know they're delinquent. They broke in the deal. We're not going to get any more money. We paid them for years, hundreds of millions of dollars. The next morning, all three countries called me, like clockwork, separately. Sir, is there a misunderstanding? I understand that perhaps you would like to talk to us. I said, sending people into, and they're sending them, by the way. They don't want them. They're sending them. All of the countries are sending them. And now they're coming in because of her, because she's so pathetic and weak at the border. The worst job, the worst border czar in history, I can tell you that. Whether she's a czar or just in charge of the border, it doesn't matter. But they're sending them in levels that we've never seen before. And they're destroying our country. But they all said, all three, it was almost like identical conversations. It was, sir, is there anything we can do to make up for this misunderstanding? I said, yep. You take your MS-13 and you take your gang members and you take your criminals and your drug dealers. We're sending them back. And we're sending them back today. And we send thousands and thousands of people back. This has stopped for years. Under Bush it stopped. And under Obama it stopped. But this had been taking place for years, and I only found out about it. I said, that's good, get them out. I don't want to put them in our jails, because we put them in our jails. What are we going to do? Keep them for 50 years, 60 years, and the expense? The really bad ones, we did do that, however, because, we don't want them coming back. But all of them said, sir, we would be delighted to take MS-13 back. This would be a great honor. They're such lovely people. And we took them out by the thousands. We took MS-13 ICE, took MS-13 out of our country by the thousands and thousands, and they received them, and that's the way. It's just another little story, but it's a story that's very important, because I can't see a guy like Biden making that call. Can you? Do you think Biden thinks at night, gee, how are we going to get MS-13 out? He doesn't know he's alive. He didn't know he's alive, and this one is just a Marxist. I mean, she's a Marxist communist person, and we're not ready for a communist president, okay? We're not ready for it. We're going to destroy our country. Under my leadership, no community will be surrendered to violent criminals. No citizen will be abandoned to migrant crime. We have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's probably more vicious than the crime that we already have, which is pretty vicious. These people are vicious, and please don't let anyone convince you that our criminals and we have more crime. They are sending massive number of criminals. And you've heard me say this before, Venezuela crime is down 72%. 72, because they've taken their criminals out of Caracas. They've taken their criminals out of all of their cities, all of their areas, all of the country, and they're sending them to us. And I'm amazed that they're not doing it quicker, to be honest with you. It's happening fast. They're also emptying out the jails. And this is true all over the world. They're emptying out their prisons, and they're taking their criminals from off the streets. They're taking their drug dealers, and their crime rates are down at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And everyone says, oh, so-and-so's doing a great job running such and such a country. No, they're not. They're just very intelligent. I would do it if I were them. I would do it much faster. I can't believe they still have some left. But their jails are getting to be very empty. And what they're doing is they're literally dropping them in. They're busing them in, and they're bringing them in. And they're saying, don't ever come back. If you come back, you get the death penalty. Or if you come back, you get killed. Don't ever come back. And you see the crime statistics are unbelievable. If you look at the jails are, they've never been so low in terms of world. I'm talking all over the world. Because they're sending their criminals to the United States of America, and they're saying, don't ever come back, and their jails are being emptied, and their criminals are being taken off the streets, and their crime rates are plummeting. But that's what we want for our country. So we're sending those people back, and these are the people that can do it. So we're going to have the Reform Department of Justice will once again be a friend and partner to our great local police and police officers general. And we'll be working with victims of crime very closely, but will not be working with the criminals that commit the crime. We're going to change it around. Right now, the criminal has a lot more respect within our Department of Justice than the victims. We're going to be working with the victims. We're going to get the gangsters, the drug dealers, the dangerous offenders behind bars, and we're going to get them ideally out of our country, ideally, except in extreme cases. We have some extreme cases where they've murdered many people, and in that case, we want to make sure they're away. But the amount of crime that we have is unbelievable, and the lack of crime that these other places, it just makes so much sense. That's all common sense too. They're taking their criminals and they're bringing them to the United States, and they look so great. And cities like Caracas, which was a very dangerous place to be, these are cities that have opened up, they have new life. But our country is suffering, and you know, they just got here over the last 2 years, mostly over the last couple of years during this administration, during our great border czar who wants to be our president. They'll be laughing. Watch, President Xi will be laughing. Putin will be laughing. They'll all be laughing. By the way, the war with Russia would have never started with Ukraine, would have never started if I was president. October 7th would have never happened. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. This is a very dangerous time that we're in. It's dangerous in terms of crime and all, but it's very dangerous in terms of a possible World War III. We're very close to World War III, and people don't realize it. We're closer than we've ever been, I think, ever since World War II, but this would be the war of wars because of weaponry. This isn't, as I say, two army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. The level of power, the level of weaponry that there is in the world today is so bad. It's so dangerous. It's so bad. And you need the right person to be president. You know, we had no war when I was president, except that I totally defeated 100% of the ISIS caliphate. Everyone said it would take 5 years. It took me like about 4 weeks because we have a great military. We have great generals, not the ones you see on television, not the ones that did the Afghanistan butchery, but we have great military people. I know them, and they're never going woke. You know, you keep hearing our military is going woke. The top people would like to see it, but it's never going to. These are not people. Just like these people will never be. Do you promise you'll never be woke? I don't see a lot of wokeness. There's not a lot of wokeness. I don't think so. But we're going to stand up for law-abiding citizens of America. We're going to be really, I think, an inspiration to the world. But we have to start by remedying a situation that was caused by somebody that right now is running for president of the United States. She would be a disaster as president. I love our country. I didn't need this. I didn't have to do this. I didn't need to get indicted by any time I fly over a state, they indict you. Got indicted more than the great Alphonse Capone, right? And nothing. My father's looking down, my mother's looking down. He was such a good boy. I don't know what happened. But I didn't need this. I had a beautiful life. But to me, I wouldn't change it for the world because we're going to take this country, we're going to make it safe again, and we're going to make America great again. And I want to thank everybody for being here, and God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Here in 2021. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Trump wrapping up his Make America Safe Again speech press conference here, and the Detroit area, where it's a crime-riddled city, the #1 dangerous crime in Michigan. If you missed that last question from one reporter, he did not take press questions, but one reporter did ask about President Trump coming to this county, and here's the reason why. This city here in Howell has a history of the KKK being here, and so when President Trump visited here recently, the left and the media attacked him for visiting this area where they're saying that there's white supremacists still here in this town and in this city, in this county. And so when this reporter asked him about that, yelled at him, he had no reason other than to just come back to the podium and say, absolutely not. You heard the crowd booing when she brought that up because they don't want that notion that they are a KKK town, even though there was KKK here in their past. President Trump came to the podium, and all he did was ask the reporter who was here in 2021, and she says Joe Biden, and he says thank you. So Joe Biden has been here to Howell, Michigan, but the left refuses to tell you that. So that's where that question came from. It's the history of this city. We want to thank our sponsors, the Gold Birch Group. Make sure you text the word Trump to 989898. Get invested in your future. Make sure that your future is well off. And the Birch Gold Group can get you on the right path. They have thousands of satisfied customers. You can be the next one. Make sure you contact the Birch Gold Group. Text the word Trump to 989898. And do it fast. Do it today, because for the month of August, they're doing a giveaway for free Trump silver coins. So don't miss out on this special offer. Birch Gold Group. Text the word Trump to 989898. Also, prepare yourself, prepare your family. Well, the wellness company, we talk about the medical emergency kit, but there's also a spike protein formula that they sell. A lot of people are concerned, having regrets about taking the COVID vaccine, and they want it out of their system. They want it out of their body. And that's where the the wellness company comes in to help you cleanse your body with this spike protein formula and get rid of that excess vaccination that may still be lingering inside your body. No matter what you get on makecaregreatagain.com, you can't go wrong. So make sure you go today, take care of yourself, take care of your family.
explaining the shit. And now let's talk about what money is a little bit, and then we'll move on. Where is that? Yeah, I was saying she got a big modeling break from National Geographic. I said, I have no hatred for Candace. She pushed the anti-Semitism as hate trope with Ben Shapiro back when I got deplatformed, and now says the same shit, and has never apologized to the people she damaged. I don't hold resentment at all. I can now do really, really racist jokes about her and her husband. If she acknowledged where she got this information from, and that her and her Jewish overlords who paid her millions and millions of dollars, who attacked me specifically, to the point where I wasn't allowed to own a rental property on Airbnb, right? If she acknowledged that and apologized, I would have to pull back on my humor, which would be bittersweet. Literally in speeches, her and the Daily Wire grabblers. Anyone remember when they said I did anti-Semitic moon songs? I don't feel wrong. There's no amount of money that replaces the feeling I get when I say that Candace's husband found her on safari with a bone through her nose. She was named a series of clicks and grunts, and he bought her from a tribesman for a pound of elephant shit. It feels great. Am I being mean? Really? No. She deserves every fucking bit. But by all means, tell us exactly about these Frankists and the demons they commune with. What exactly will that info help people, and where do we find these goddamn Frankists? Then you can explain why your feminine husband allegedly puts rings around your neck to extend it because your tribe finds it elegant. No, I love this shit. I can't get enough. And then people are like, I thought you were a Christian. I said, yeah, tons of people said I'm not a Christian because I don't understand the Trinity, so I respect the brand. Literally. Like when people say, oh, is the grift over? There's never been a grift. I'm Christian. And everyone's like, you're not unless you understand the Lord God Christ. And I'm like, I don't understand that at all. It makes no fucking sense to me. And they're like, then you're not Christian. And I'm like, okay. And then some people will say like, oh, well, don't let other people define your faith. No, it's a brand. It's like, and enough people say you're not that, then I'm not. Like, I get that. Like, and I'm just trying to be respectful. You know, because I'm not going to try and change what being Christian means. Like, that to me is way more disrespectful. Like, that to me would be, like, I could understand if someone called me a subverter. If I was just, like, trying to change what everybody, like, dude, it's the majority think away, and they're like, this is what we are, this is what we call it. And I'm like, I don't think so. So now I just say, I'm grateful to God, and I'm really happy to be here. That's my entire theology. The whole Lord God King, Christ Lord King, started making zero sense to me, but I love Jesus' teachings, and I try to live a moral life. And that's it. And that's just the honest truth. You know, my kids are in a Christian homeschool curriculum. Like, I'm not anti-Christian at all. I've just been told, like, really aggressively by thousands of people that I'm not a Christian. And that's fine. And I don't hold any resentment at all. Okay. Let me just do a thing about money, and then we'll call it. There's two kinds of reactions to those tweets, pearl clutching and this. Oh, laughter. Yeah, it's not deserving of pearl clutching. They're acting no different than homos. And I'll play you the video, and then we'll talk about money. So here's the video. Talk about money, Jew. Yeah, educating the goy to be richer, smarter, happier. Yeah, if that is what a Jew is, then sign me up. I don't even know what they mean when they say Jew now. Does it just mean, like, you're the man? What is the Christian grift? Calling yourself gay? Let's be honest, a lot of people that call themselves Christians are gay homos. No, I understand why people would accuse someone of a Christian grift. It means you say you're Christian, you're always talking about Jesus to get money or support from Christians. And I do see that in people. I don't know anyone's heart, so I'm not going to make any claims here. But I see that a lot online. And I understand how people could, but I never did that. I never once did that.
My journey has been completely open, honest, spiritually valid, and I never made money on that. I never benefited myself coming out of Hollywood saying I believed in God. You know, it all started when we had our first kid, and I realized that that isn't from monkey fucking, you know? A big bang didn't create the giggle of a newborn child, right? And I felt like this incredible mercy, like that I didn't deserve it, and that I had been forgiven for something. Because, like, I didn't think that someone like me deserved to have a good life. And I was, like, crying, right? And so then I started relating with people that had these Christian experiences, these coming to Jesus moments of, like, being born again, seeing something beautiful and knowing that you had been forgiven on some level. And that with that came responsibility, and then you had to try harder, and you had to improve your life and speak the truth. And then you go through this wave where, you know, I've went through churchian phases where I'm like yelling about how, like, you must, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've done that in long live streams. You know, you go through this phase of, like, you want to tell everybody and you think you know all this shit, and then it starts mellowing out, and then you realize that people are just people and you can't really judge anybody, like, on their soul level. And then people start explaining to me that I wasn't Christian because I didn't understand the Trinity, and I refused to just go along with it because I didn't get how you pray to yourself. And then after long enough time, I just said, okay, no problem. I'm not going to say I'm Christian because I understand it's like a brand. You know, it's like, if Nancy Pelosi says she's a Republican, like, what does that mean? I guess Trump did do that, by the way, but anyway, it's just like a brand where it's like, this is our thing, don't fuck with our thing, and I'm like, no problem. And so that's my story. Like, that's literally what happened. You guys all watched it. I remember when you declared you weren't Christian, it was very freeing for a lot of us. Yeah, because I think a lot of Christian listeners appreciate it too, because it's like, it's not like you can't be friends with someone that isn't a Christian trademark. Me telling you about your own faith, like I'm some know-it-all, was probably super fucking annoying. You know? Like, that actually could be perceived as subversion if I'm like, I'm the only right one with Christianity, and all of you are wrong, and I'm just going to keep saying, and then it would just give people, like, I don't know, it's just so much more honest and open, and you can have just really great relationships with all walks of life if you just don't make a claim that you're in their group when they're like, dude, you're not in the group. Like, the Trinity, you have to understand, or else you're not in the group. And I'm like, okay. They're like, we still love you, man. You know, you're still Warriors, we're still your buddy. Like, but like, that means something. And I'm like, fine. Winston Gitz, it says, ironically, you are just naturally seeing through many of the deceptions in modern Christianity that most churchians still haven't seen. But it's still not my role. Like, I'm not a prophet. I'm not, like, I'm so flawed. And that's what they like. Like, they're into this thing, and maybe they're right, and I don't understand. It's like politics. Like, a lot of people like politics, and there's a role for politics, and the government functions. And for me to just always walk in and be like, it's all two wings of the same bird. You guys are fucking idiots. You know, it got to a point where I'm like, people like that shit. It's all good. You know, we come into this earth, and we kind of just like, we just kind of like go with the story, and we there's a choose your own adventure element to life. And I think one of the rules here is we're not supposed to just like try and break someone else's adventure. Where it's just like, no, you're wrong. I don't know. It's something I try to work through. Bear for all seasons. The only Christians that seem cool are the ones that don't go around calling themselves Christians. Well, I know some really good Christians. You know, I know some selfless, amazing, hardworking, honest people that, you know, that's why I don't have any bad will towards any of that shit. Like, if I'm making fun of the Pope, it's not because I'm trying to take down the Vatican. It's just like what I do. I make fun of everybody. All right, so anyway, this is my thoughts on victim consciousness. To break down the falsity of the scapegoats, like two wings of the same bird, right? Right or left, Democrat, Republican. All right, a lot of truthers go through that. Then the next stage is the truther realizes it's not the Rothschilds either. They're just providing a service. And I know a lot of you guys will not accept that. Totally fine. It keeps going until you realize your enemy is yourself, right? That you're the final boss. That's not me. That's not just me saying that. That's spiritually ancient knowledge, right? That you're the final boss. And then what seems to happen is when people can't accept that, they make me their enemy. And I see that with how they try and bend and twist who I am to justify them hating me, right? Whether I'm trans, I secretly have a bunch of Mexicans doing all my farm work. I'm a practicing Jewish man with quote-unquote Jew blood. What are some other ones? I mean, I'm a thief. I lie. Like, whatever it is, whatever their archetype is for what the bad man is. But, hate Christ, secretly worked for the DNC, never left Hollywood, I'm secretly working for Homeland Security. It's just endless, the coping narratives. It's because they won't just say that their problems are their fault. And that's something that's taught in AA and every major religious thing. I mean, even in Islam, it says that God won't change your predicament until you change yourself. In Christianity, it's pick up your cross, and they have the same thing in Hinduism with karma and dharma, and Buddhism with, the suffering is from your own desires. It's the universal thing that you are responsible for your own suffering. And it's like the hardest thing for people to face. But when they face it, their life improves dramatically. And I've been through so many groups, man. I'm like this weird, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm this great human being or the smartest boy in the world. Like Hollywood, when I pointed out the trans kid thing or that being gay wasn't great for people and all that stuff. A lot of you guys that probably found me recently don't even know my history. I was in a bunch of movies. I was a regular on a sitcom. I've done Leno and Fallon and all that stuff. My picture was hanging up on the Hollywood Improv wall. I was doing headlining theaters and clubs for like 15 years. And when you point out that it isn't Christians that are why they're sad, that it's not because people won't accept homosexuality. That's not why they're sad, right? Imagine the seething and coping that comes when you tell a gay man in Hollywood that the reason they're alcoholics and drug addicts and they lie is not because there's Christians praying and they're not like worship for being gay. And I was the guy that said that. Same with the trans people. Why is there trans kids? If only I had been allowed to be trans when I was 5, I wouldn't be suicidal, right? That's what a lot of these trans people feel. That they've always been in the wrong skin, and if only they had been acknowledged from the time they were 5, they could be real women, blah, 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 blah. It's not true. It's just not true. A lot of times people feel like they're an imposter in their own body because of sexual abuse. There are cases of intersex or hermaphrodites or people with a strange combination of gonads or whatnot. Sure, but it's not what the plague of transgenderism was. Not that, in my opinion. It was a world that fetishizes sex through pornography, through hookup culture, all this stuff about what a woman is versus what a man is. Those roles are not real. And that's a big idea to understand, like, what is trans? When you look at that Mr. Beast trans guy, a lot of these trans people are just really fetishized pervert types. Like, when they say they're really a woman, it's because of, like, this weird fetish. It's all sexual. Like, when they think of woman, they think of, like, what they see in porn or what they see in billboards or what they see in this corrupt culture. And that's what causes the trans thing. Trust me, I'd love to say it's the Jews and Teva Pharmaceutical. I've went down all that shit. But it's a psychological problem that's so big that it's like, when they ask what is a woman, I've always made fun of that because it's so stupid and so obvious, but it is kind of a profound question when you're dealing with perverts. When you're like, what is a woman? You know, is it someone who gets attention from their body in public and wears high heels, and, you know, men pursue them and they make little giggles, and it's all this stuff they see in pornography. And that's why, you know, Bruce Jenner became trans when he was watching a lot of this like crazy porn, you know, and started having this fetish of cross-dressing and fetish of being the woman. Dude, it happens when people watch a lot of porn. It also makes them like gay. You know, and all porn is gay porn. There's truth to that. And people don't want to admit that, but that insane consumption of perverse material is what causes that, or sexual abuse as kids. But now with the screens and the porn and all that, it's almost like sexual abuse went mass wide scale. Like Suncook Bear, like what we're talking about with pedophilia in the Catholic Church. Think about what that really is. It's being exposed to sexuality too young, right? Think about what screens do now with these movies, these dirty movies, these billboards, these expectations, all this stuff. Like, that's a form of molestation, in my opinion. And so when kids start getting these things in their head and they start, it starts affecting their identity and all that stuff, and it's like a sexual thing. That's what I think trans is. And so the thing that got me pariahed out of Hollywood is saying it's not the Christian right that is making you sad. If only you were more accepted for who you were, you would be a happy person. That is not true. Right? And just like I said that to them, I say the same thing to Christians about Jews or about Muslims or whatever. If it looks like I just jump on whatever to get a reaction or I'm a troll or whatever, take one step back and look at my overall message. You know, my homophobia didn't come from just like a hatred of gay people. It was me saying that homophobia isn't the cause of the violence, or isn't like violence against gays isn't actually a threat to them. They're full of shit. If people don't like them, that isn't what makes them sad. What makes them sad is their lifestyle, their issues with their self, their own shadow, their Jungian shadow, like their behavior, their drinking, their, you know, and I'd see that in Hollywood where these like victim cultures would start doing that, and I don't accept that. It's like, oh, David Hogg. And I'm like, no, just because a kid is sad doesn't mean I disarm myself with my family, because I've taken the accountability that like we have to defend ourselves in this world. There's no victims, right? So like you can't disarm me with your little tactic, your little strategy. And so it's like that for all these groups. The Jews are the same way, and I get to that in this video. Are you guys enjoying this, or is this too intense? The fetish demon, bloodline transfer, abuse, the list is set. Yeah, that's what it is. That's like literally what this trans thing is, and it's like they externalize the bad man and say it's the right wing, it's Christianity, it's whatever. That's why there's such a high rate of suicide in trans people, because you won't accept them. That is not true. Just like the same thing with these white guys getting replaced. Oh, it's the Jew. That's why we have no future. That's why I can't work. That's why, but that's not true. And so that's not me switching sides. That's me taking away victim consciousness. And this is why people then say, it's you're the bad man. That's why, like, when people are just blaming Muslims, that's why there's rape in England. It's not true. It's not even the right category. It's like rape is illegal in Islam. It's like that doesn't even make sense. But what it really is the British men had gotten very perverted and very weak. They became atheistic, nihilistic. They were not having children. They're not working like they once did. They're losing their culture to just rampant alcoholism, right? And so they are importing people for labor, for negotiation tactics, all kinds of shit. I could do hours on it. But if you externalize and say it's those guys, you know, and not your behavior, you're implying that you've done nothing wrong whatsoever to bring yourself to this position where you are being, quote unquote, invaded by foreigners. right? As if there wasn't rape before the immigrants came. A lot of times they call it rape when it's just their women prefer the Muslim because the Muslim treats them like an actual woman and not a porno girl. The porn thing is really bad, okay? Telling your girl to get on the pill and you like come on her, and I know I'm being vulgar, I know, but I have to be for this point. This is what these people do. Come on their tits and get the BJs and the threesomes, and they're not ready to settle down, and they fuck and they get drunk, and maybe the girl should make the money and blah, blah, blah. Those women are like, I want a guy that treats me like a woman. Because the white Westerners are like, oh, the women suck now. They're all bitchy lesbians. They would rather be with someone without a dick than you. Women aren't even really lesbians. They get to a point where they don't like men. They're like, we don't like you. You suck. You have no... I guarantee that there are lesbians, I've experienced this, where when they're around like an actual man, they're no longer a lesbian. Like you're telling on yourself. You're like ratting yourself out when you say that. Oh, women are all dykes now. Is it because you are like they'd rather be with a girl with a fucking vibrator than you? Because they have you work? What's the point of a man if you work? Like the woman is going out and getting money for their own food. So what's the fucking point? Right? And then in the past, the man makes the money, the woman stays home with the kids, the woman does the house stuff, they do the community stuff, blah, blah, blah. The man works, the woman is protected. If you put your women in the workplace, why do they need you as much? Okay, so that's one notch. Next notch. The men are just want to fuck them. Like, without commitment. Just like, and they don't want to give them a kid. Okay, so what's the point? So a sterile sex life where the woman works, why not just get a vibrator and a bitch named Tina? Right, you understand? It's like, that's why they're like that. Then when they have a more traditional masculine guy around, that's called grooming, right? Don't get me wrong, there's rape and grooming gangs and stuff. I've looked into it. Like there's a Pakistani group in England that was going after, like young teens that were in like an orphanage or some shit. Of course, there's crime everywhere. But the overall, this is what it is. Okay? Same with the homos and trans in Hollywood. Same with the Jews in Hollywood. No one is... It's not the Nazis why Marigold left you. You fucked your assistant. Okay? And so someone like me that points this out in every group, that's the role of the comedian. We make fun of this shit. And maybe it's because of the invention of live streaming or something that people are like, oh, you're not a comedian. No, this is what comedy is, man. Like the big bits that everyone loves at George Carlin about PTSD versus battle fatigue versus shell shock. Like he's telling you you're lying to yourself. It starts with shell shock, and then it's battle fatigue, and then it's war, and it gets to post-traumatic stress syndrome. He's taking away the teeth of the meaning of the words. He's basically saying you're all fucking lying to yourself. You're inventing words so that you don't have to face reality. That's the nature of comedy. Okay? It's porn. That's fetish. That's why so many quote-unquote trans people are just freaks. Like the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing. It's just like a fetish. Like you want to wear heels and feel like the pretty girl. That's from porn. That's from abuse. That's not a spiritual thing, in my opinion. So then you go, and the conservative Jews found me. The Praggers and the Crowders and all these guys. And I saw what their weakness is. Their weakness is they believe that the end game, the end devil, is Nazis or anti-Semitism or anyone that doesn't weep at the sound of 6 million or, they have their own little coping mechanism. And it causes them harm, guys. It's not like they're in charge. They truly believe that, the world is out to get them and it's their job to heal the world, and everyone is just jealous because they're so high functioning. Okay, a lot of self-hate, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. And when you try and help them and say it isn't even true, it's the good news, right? It's so funny. That's what gospel means. It's the good news. don't you want to know that your ancestors weren't turned into soap? Like, isn't that the best thing you ever heard? But no, they need the external enemy in order to cope with the fact it's them. They lied. They cheated. You know, they're perverted. And until you can face that, you can't heal. Until you know you're the bad guy, you can't be the good guy. And then you go through it with the Christian stuff and the atheist stuff. Every group has their bad guy. You know, I'm trying to teach this to my kids because it's in human nature on some level. Like, are they the bad guy, Dad? Are they the good guy or the bad guy? I'm like, everyone can do good and bad. I don't believe in the bad guy. I don't believe in the bad group. Part of it comes from being a father, but I've always kind of felt that way. It's like, if we're all completely honest with ourselves, we can all be bad. We can all be good. We've all had thoughts that are bad, that are fundamentally selfish, that are narcissistic, that are envious, lustful, right? That, like, I think the banality of evil, the real evil is not thinking about other people. It's simple. It's not like this, like horns and hooves and all that shit. You know, and so right now the newest bad guy is Jews, right? And I'm not simping for the Jews. I've been telling them about the Holocaust for years and about their complete detachment from reality about why they have irritable bowel syndrome and why Marigold divorced them, you know? It's their behavior. You guys get it. Okay. Let's move on. I can read some mail. Oh, I want to talk about what money, like what the Matrix is and what money is. All right, listen to this. People talk about who controls the Matrix. The Matrix, it's money. All right? Matrix means womb. Matrix is actually in the Bible, by the way, the word matrix, but it means womb. Your connection to the Matrix requires a love of money. That's the umbilical cord in the womb. Just like in the Matrix, how that is like an umbilical cord. Remember, that's like the metaphor is the womb because matrix means womb. If it has a price, it's cheap. Any father would give anything for the health of his child. All of it. No question. Because it has no price. Think about how much money people spend to feel a fraction of the joy a naturally joyous person feels most of the time for free. Really understand that, right? Think about how much money rich people spend to feel an ounce of the joy a lot of you feel every day of your life. Because it has no price. Okay. Money is the matrix. So that's why I don't say Jews control everything much these days. Every powerful Jew I know is the most money obsessed out of everyone. They're the deepest in the matrix. Control of the matrix has to be outside of it. Right? Who actually created the money? They wouldn't be high on their own supply. They wouldn't be inside the money matrix. Money isn't what you think it is, and billionaires aren't what you think they are. If you actually want to break the matrix, figure out what has no price. That is what has value. Money is cheap. And then again, immediate. Funny that you're obsessed with squeezing every dollar you can from your fans. Shouldn't you stop the constant fishing for donations, memberships, and apps? Like you teach, for example. I said, so work for free or I'd be sponsored by Pfizer. Which would you prefer? I'm not saying earning a living is bad. And then this guy says, break the matrix. You want other people to not care for money, but you're the one most... No, you're not understanding it. Aggressive in monetizing your fans, but you shouldn't be expected to live up to your own word. I put out my stream every single day for free and ask for support or donations if you find value in it. Because I have bills. I do require money to have my life function. I can explain it in another way if you want. Find out what has no price, and that is where the value is. Now, a lot of this seething and insanity comes from someone like me who does make a good living, right? Someone like me who can crowdfund hundreds of thousands of dollars for land for our festivals. That drives people fucking insane. But you know why I can do that? Because I figured out what has no price. And a lot of you guys completely understand. I don't have a price. My name, my words didn't have a price. right? When they said that I would lose my book deal if I did not stop trashing, I don't even remember her name, but it was the principal. When she was saying she wanted an abortion, like she wished she had had an abortion, Lena Dunham, and I was calling her a cunt, and my agents were like, you will literally lose your book deal for $60,000 and have to pay the money back if you don't stop. And I said, I cannot stop, because at that point my words would mean nothing. If you tell me that, like, it's one thing if they're like, you know, I'm doing a show, don't make fun of their religion, don't make fun of their moms, don't say fuck, no problem. But if you're telling me Lena Dunham can say she wishes she murdered a baby to a bunch of girls, like a bunch of young girls, and I'm not allowed to criticize that, then my word has no meaning. Like, why would anyone read a book from a man whose words are bought and paid for? I have no price for that. Now, do I have a price for labor? Sure, let's say it all goes to shit. I would do a job for minimum wage. I would do anything to feed my family. Of course I would work for money. I would not sell what has no price. And that's where the value is. That's why people support this. That's why people directly will support the stream, because it's so fucking different than all the sellout streams that have their promo codes and the Pfizer and the politics and because like I don't have a fucking price. That's where the value is. And now ask yourself, in your line of work, what has no price? The most powerful people I know are the ones that, whether it's farming or carpentry or tech or anything, you don't all have to be farmer comedians. Of course not. It's a ridiculous road. But what has no price to you? Like, what is the thing that someone couldn't buy? You know, like, let's say you're passionate about software engineering. Like, how much money to never do it again and never do anything like it again? And if the answer is nothing, then that's your value. Like, that's your thing in this world. You know, how much to divorce your wife? How much to never talk to your kid again? If you have a price, then you're cheap. You know? Why are there not more super chats? Are you people gay? Says Dimitri. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot of gays out there. We are made in the image, and that means we are 3 in 1. Mind, spirit, body, soul, and they communicate with each other just like Jesus was communicating with the Father through prayer. God bless, stay real. Right, but is the mind the body? Trust me, I get it. I've heard all of it. I get it. I know that, so if the mind is communicating with the body, does that mean the mind is the body? In my mind, I think the mind is different than the body. Now they can communicate and function together in one purpose, which is what I think the Trinity is. I think the Trinity is when someone's purpose and function aligns with the Spirit and their Creator. That's what the Trinity is. Now, when I say, why did Jesus pray to himself? The whole point of that is fuck it, I'm not doing it again. It's literally like I believe it's an ancient, mind fuck. Okay, and if you want to leave because of that, I apologize. But what you just described contradicts Jesus is God. Okay, so then who did he pray to? Well, the Father. Okay, it's like mind, body, spirit. Okay, what does that mean? Well, they all can work together, right? So a dead body, is that a spirit? Like a carcass, a cadaver. Is a cadaver a spirit or a mind? No, obviously not. No, it's just a body, right? So they can be separated, yes? Yeah, but they're still one though. How? That doesn't make sense to me. Well, then you're not a Christian. No problem. Jesus. All right. What was I talking about? Yeah, like what has value is that which has no price. And that doesn't mean not to work for money. It doesn't mean, like, the reason that my business model is super chats, P.O. Box, guys, the app is a benefit to you guys. I make almost no money on it ever. The Bertari Times app is a community builder. It's just like a great place for the community to like meet people and talk about good stuff, and there's no cortisol. You know, subscribe to unauthorized.tv, all that stuff. It's I provide entertainment and people enjoy it, and then they pay for it because they have honor. It's just like, I seem to always have to defend myself, and then people say, don't defend yourself. Well, then that doesn't go well either. Because I've tried that, and then those narratives grow and grow and grow. You know, when I just ignore shit, then people are like, oh, so that's true then. And then before you know it, it leads to something real in my life. It's not ego.